Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal. See playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 61. Physical experience is better than words. Chapter 61. Physical experience is better than words. Enlightenment lets the students experience the teacher's beauty, washes away the soul's filth, truly unlocks the student's loving soul. Lin Fan looked at the description and was confused. It was too ambiguous, who knew what the effects were to be like. But Lin Fan felt the effects shouldn't be too shabby. Right now would be the perfect time to experiment. Alright, my dear students, I will help enlighten you all today and let your souls experience a wonderful release. My future glory will now walk alongside you all. Lin Fan didn't know what this enlightenment was. He only knew that master monks would often help enlighten lost souls, but he had never heard of giving disciples enlightenment before. Teacher, what is enlightenment? Lu Shuishui looked puzzledly at her teacher, not understanding what he meant. She just felt that it sounded very complex. Lin Fan smiled slightly, his smile like a flower and his eyes tender and loving as he beckoned. Come, Shuishui, I will enlighten you first. Teacher, you are so nice to me. Seeing her teacher's loving smile, Lu Shuishui nodded happily and then ran up front to her teacher, awaiting his instructions. Well, you are my favorite female student after all. Afternoon. Lin Fan absent-mindedly completed the morning's enlightenment. After finishing the last one, Lin Fan still hadn't figured out what enlightenment actually did. He just felt a bit weird. He felt as if his own spirit had separated and entered into their bodies. Lin Fan didn't understand this feeling, but whatever. Since he couldn't figure out what enlightenment was, he'll just let it be. Currently, he had 3 abilities, and having these students surpass others in a short amount of time shouldn't be too much of a problem. Lin Fan placed these students in nurturing mode. Cultivating titanium-grade demon body to level 3 was currently their most important task. Lin Fan wasn't planning on staying too long at the school, and after hearing the Yan Emperor and Queen's words, he felt he should return to the sect and tell this news to the sect's people. The Saint Devil sect had been around for thousands of years, but Lin Fan didn't think they could withstand a siege from numerous sects. Zhang Tianao, you piece of trash. Hurry up and disappear from junior sister Han's side or I will make you pay. Currently, Lin Fan was exiting the Sky Heaven School when he heard an angry voice not far off. At first, he didn't mind it, but when he heard the name Zhang Tianao, he became a bit interested. Wasn't he one of the people Lin Fan had met in the forest? Lin Fan knew they were from the Sky Heaven School, but hadn't thought about looking for them. If they did meet again, then it would be fate, but there wasn't much point in actively seeking them out, he was still in quite a high danger zone after all. Lin Fan went over to spectate and saw a male looking down arrogantly at the collapsed Zhang Tianao. Judging from the clothes, he was an A-class student. N.O.V.L.B. in .C. Ohm. Shao's, you've gone too far. This is the Sky Heaven School. I, Han Mengmeng, will be with whoever I want. You can't stop me. Han Mengmeng was in a refined-looking green clothing, but she was currently glaring angrily at the male. Xiao shook his sleeves, ignoring Han Mengmeng's glare. Before, I wouldn't have cared, but now your Han family is connected with my Xiao family through marriage. From now on, you better be careful about who you are with. The face of the Xiao family and Han family can't afford to be lost by you. Lin Fan rolled his eyes. Who thought he would encounter this sort of bloody incident? It made him feel exasperated. HMPH, Zhang Tianao, a mere untouchable like you dares to eye my fiancé. Why don't you take a look at yourself in the mirror? What, you want to fight me? Xiao said in a despising manner. Zhang Tianao drew his sword and looked unwaveringly at Xiao's. I, Zhang Tianao, may have a lower cultivation base than yours. But even if I end up dying today, I will fight you to the death. HMPH, a mere speck of light dares to fight a ray of light like me. How about fighting me to the death on the fighting stage? Xiao said in disdain. Brother Zhang, don't be so rash. You must not fall prey to his schemes. Han Mengmeng quickly stopped him. Zhang Tianao shook his head. Even if ended up dying, he wouldn't back down. Lin Fan shook his head. Zhang Tianao was a bit too rash, he was young after all. A level 2 post-celestial against a level 6 post-celestial, when they fought on the stage, he would die instantly. They were acquainted with each other, so if he didn't step out, then this really would get out of hand. Lin Fan was a man of justice, and this sort of bullying the weak would naturally not be ignored by him. Ahem, you 3 students, I believe you all should calm down. A school is a place of learning, not a place for you all to settle personal vendettas. Lin Fan gave a light cough, his face calm, meticulous, as he stepped forth with his hands behind his back. A teacher's pride was displayed flawlessly at this moment. Senior, Zhang Tianao and Han Mengmeng both instantly gasped when they saw who had stepped forth. They didn't expect to meet Senior Lin here. Originally to them, Senior Lin was a foreign master. To even be able to forge a relationship with him was already a great fortune for them, but now, they unexpectedly had met him again within the school. Lin Fan looked at the two and nodded with a smile, then looked towards the imposing Xiaos. As a student of a class, you are considered a senior. How could your mind be so small? Who are you? Xiaos asked, obviously not even considering Lin Fan a threat. A teacher of D class. Lin Fan smiled, not feeling any shame from being a teacher of D class. But to others, this was a laughable matter. The surrounding students began laughing, wondering if this D-class teacher was perhaps stupid. Xiaos was a student of a class, the strongest group within the Sky Heaven School. Even a B-class teacher wouldn't dare to act presumptuously in front of him, let alone a D-class teacher. They remembered that some time ago, a B-class teacher had once offended Xiaos. In the end, Xiaos had brutally humiliated the teacher on the fighting stage. As expected, when Xiaos heard the words D-class, he scoffed and showed even more disdain. A mere D-class teacher was practically no different than those garbage students from D-class. A mere D-class garbage dares to act mighty in front of me. Get lost, Xiaos said coldly. Zhang Tianao and Han Mengmeng both froze. D-class. How could Senior be a D-class teacher? With Senior's strength, he should be more than enough to be A-class. As expected of Senior, he couldn't be judged from the ordinary viewpoint. Lin Fan looked at Xiaozi's contemptuous expression, then shook his head regretfully. Everyone, look over there. What do you see? Lin Fan pointed towards the door. Everyone looked over puzzledly but didn't see anything strange. Seeing the confused students not noticing what he was pointing at, Lin Fan then again shook his head regretfully. Physical experience is better than words. Lin Fan pointed towards the words carved on the stone tablet and said wryly. So you really won't get lost? Xiaos was angered at this moment. How did it become that a D-class teacher dared to act so high and mighty in front of him? Lin Fan sighed. This kid was unteachable, but since he was now a role model, he could only make him repent. Lin Fan stepped forth one step at a time. Xiaos was startled and retreated a few steps, but Lin Fan continued forth without any pause. Come with me to the fighting stage. Lin Fan said. All right, Xiaos laughed coldly. Since he had asked for it, he couldn't blame it on others. Senior. Zhang Tianao and Han Mengmeng watched Senior's figure, not understanding why Senior was doing this. Chapter 62. It doesn't matter if you all believe it or not, I believe it. Chapter 62. It doesn't matter if you all believe it or not, I believe it. Xiaos and a D-class teacher are going to compete at the fighting stage. If you don't want to miss out, hurry up and follow along. What? Xiaos is fighting a teacher again? Why is this D-class teacher fighting Xiaos? Isn't that practically suicidal? The Sky Heaven School was currently bustling at the moment. There were 2 types of matches when competing, one was determined by winning and the other by death. Whenever Xiaos had a match with someone, it was always the one determined by death and not by winning. It seemed that the fate of this D-class teacher was likely ominous. With Xiaozi's vengeful personality, this D-class teacher's chance of survival was near zero. Lin Fan stood on stage, his expression calm as he exuded a teacher-like aura. Sign this. Xiaos signed his name onto the life and death declaration, then threw it towards Lin Fan. Lin Fan received the life and death declaration, glanced it over and smiled. It seemed Xiaos was going to fight him to the death. Xiaos looked despisingly at Lin Fan. If you don't want to sign it, then scamper off stage. Remember, it's scamper off. Xiaos didn't pay any heed to the D-class teacher. For him, the D-class teacher was a mere chicken, and today, he was going to kill this chicken as an example. Lin Fan laughed, then signed his name on the declaration. The Sky Heaven School is the Yan dynasty's top school. The strength of the teachers are quite good, but your minds aren't good enough. They need to be honed a lot more. Lin Fan had a disappointed expression. To Zhang Tianao and Han Mengmeng, Senior Lin looked as if he was hurtful. Mind, when Zhang Tianao heard Senior Lin's words, he felt as if he had gained some insight. Recalling how he had previously been unable to withstand the humiliation and not cared about his life, wanting to fight Xiao's, it was a completely suicidal act. Enough nonsense. Xiao's was taken aback, but then he drew out a pitch-black halberd from his storage bag. Xiao's held the double-edged halberd with one hand and stood there imposingly like a god of war. N-O-V-E in .C Ohm. The spectating students then began gasping. It seemed Xiao's was going for real. The halberd was named Heaven-Shaking Halberd and was one of the Xiao family's legendary weapons. Forged from black gold, it was a genuine upper-graded weapon, only a bit away from reaching dark-class legendary weapon. Brother Zhang, Senior Lin will be alright, won't he? Han Mengmeng was watching the scene on stage and began worrying. Xiao's was a level 6 post-celestial, the skills he cultivated were the Xiao family's top martial skills, and the halberd was forged from the Xiao family's master blacksmith. It had the ability to increase the circulation of one's true energy. He will be alright. Zhang Tianao looked unwaveringly at the scene on stage. He didn't think Xiao's would be this strong. A level 6 post-celestial expert, just the momentum alone was enough to make him uncomfortable. If he had really gone on stage, he would have likely been killed in one move. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Make your move. Xiao's flourished his halberd, with a momentous force, as it tore through the air with hissing sounds. Ha, too proud. Lin Fan shook his head. Xiao's abilities were quite good, but to be able to reach level 6 post-celestial with this sort of a mentality, it most likely cost the Xiao family many resources. You are the junior, I should let you go first. Alright then, for 3 moves, I will stand here without moving. Lin Fan stood there calmly and said. What? The spectating students immediately became noisy. Was this D-class teacher perhaps really stupid? To stand there without moving for 3 moves? He was seeking death. Zhang Tianao's eyes flashed in surprise. He didn't think Senior Lin would stand there for 3 moves. How was this possible? Xiao's halberd was an upper-graded weapon, it could easily slice through steel like nothing. Even without the enhancement of true energy, one attack could slice open the body of a post-celestial. Xiao's became livid. This garbage D-class teacher was looking down on him. Alright, since you are seeking death yourself, don't blame me. At this moment, the halberd in Xiao's hand surged with momentum, and he struck forth with it like an arrow towards Lin Fan's chest. Lin Fan was currently motionless as he smiled slightly, not paying any heed towards Xiao's momentous strike. Senior. Han Mengmeng gasped and covered her eyes, afraid to watch any longer. At the moment the halberd touched Lin Fan, Xiao's gave off a cry, and his energy circulated rapidly around the halberd's tip. The space around the tip looked as if it were warping, as it drew out multiple white air currents. HMPH, suicidal. Xiao's laughed coldly, but his laugh didn't last long, and his expression instantly changed. How is this possible? Xiao's was currently in disbelief, and even the spectating students offstage were the same. Zhang Tianao had been watching from the start without batting an eye, but upon seeing the current spectacle, he also became surprised. That halberd is not bad, just the ferocity isn't enough. Lin Fan smiled, and gently flicked the halberd's tip. Ding, congratulations, Eternal Demon Body, experience plus 4,000. Currently, leveling Eternal Demon Body was becoming harder and harder. A normal post-celestial in the end would provide far too little experience. Xiao's was enraged. Bastard, I will make you regret this. Xiao's roared out and his energy circulated crazily. The pitch-black halberd was covered in a bright light, and his style changed from stabbing to slashing. Sweeping 8 Baron, Xiao's was hailed as a genius of the Xiao family, and one of the Sky Heaven School's strongest. He had never faced such a degrading situation before. He didn't even look up to a class teachers, and now this mere D-class teacher had dared to act presumptuously in front of him. Bang! The exuberant blow landed on Lin Fan's shoulder as a strong recoil made Xiao's flinch. Ding! Congratulations, Eternal Demon Body, experience plus 4,000. Single quote. This isn't possible, I don't believe it. Xiao's roared out angrily, his energy exploding all out. His halberd warped the air as the entire stage became filled with the halberd's figure. Ding! Congratulations, Eternal Demon Body, experience plus 4,000. Ding! Congratulations, Eternal Demon Body, experience plus 4,000. The experience wasn't much, but no matter how small the fly, it was still meat. The future leveling path would likely be even slower than now. Xiao's indeed had quite good abilities. To have such a cultivation base at such a young age, if nothing unexpected happened to him, it was very likely he would reach paracelestial stage. On the path of cultivation, blood energy was the key. The younger one was, the faster could their cultivation base rise, and more open their future paths would be. But for those with core abilities, they could only reach post-celestial around their middle ages. If they didn't have any good fortune, it was unlikely they could go beyond that in their lifetime. It was because the blood energy inside their body would have already precipitated and become cemented. I don't believe it. Xiaozi's long hair were unkempt, his eyes burning with rage. His previous aura from when he stepped on stage was long gone. Halberd! Xiao's roared out angrily and leapt up, his halberd erupting with a violent momentum. Lin Fan then shook his head. That's enough. Lin Fan sighed lightly and slowly extended his finger. Deflowering finger. As the halberd came crashing down, Lin Fan's finger traced its blade, and with a gentle stroke, a surge of energy coursed through, causing the halberd to vibrate and hum noisily. Xiao's became numb, and in an instant, his halberd ended up in Lin Fan's hands. Xiao's looked at his empty hands and was overwhelmed. Do you realize your wrongs? Lin Fan was calm, there was no need to act tough, and he had now entered the noble profession of teacher. If a student ended up going astray, it was up to him as a teacher to properly correct them. It didn't matter if other people believed this or not, but Lin Fan surely believed this. You bastard, I'm going to. Ha, it seems my teaching isn't enough. Lin Fan heard Xiaozi's previous words and knew his teaching still hadn't broken through. Lin Fan then looked up towards the sky and felt a heavy responsibility. Deflowering finger. Lin Fan then gently stroked Xiaozi's body. Clank. Xiao's felt as if all the bones in his body had become loose and he was unable to exert any strength at all. Lin Fan then took a small stool out of the storage bag senior brother Meng Yongchang had given him, then lifted Xiao's up and laid him on it. Lin Fan always remembered this phrase, although a small stool was a simple craftwork, it was an essential home travel equipment. It allowed one to rest anywhere, and it allowed one to spectate a match anywhere. Chapter 63, Ruler of Love. Chapter 63, Ruler of Love. The students off stage were all in shock. They didn't think that a genius from a class, one of the unparalleled 13, Xiao's would be defeated. And it was a complete defeat, an utter defeat. He had been defeated to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. Han Mengmeng pulled Zhang Tianao's sleeves feeling very excited. Senior is so strong. Han Mengmeng only had one thought at the moment. Senior was really powerful, and his strength had far exceeded her expectations. Paracelestial, Senior must be a paracelestial master. In the entire Yan dynasty, the amount of paracelestials is only a handful. Lin then asked Xiao's, who was lying on the stool, again, do you admit your wrongs? Lin Fan really didn't want to see this scene, but in order to lead a lost sheep down the right path again, Lin Fan felt it was worth it even if he came to hate himself. Xiao's, I'm a genius. I did nothing wrong, Xiao's roared out harshly. You signed a life and death declaration with me. Are you not afraid of dying? Lin Fan said. HMPH, I am a true man of the Xiao family. I do not fear death, kill me if you dare. If I, Xiao's, end up flinching, then I am not a Xiao. Xiao still continued his resistance. Lin Fan was distressed at this moment. This was simply just a stubborn child. All right, if I don't make you admit your wrongs today, then I am not fit to be called a teacher. All right, if I, Xiao's admit I am wrong today, then I will transfer from a class to your D class, and I will kneel and acknowledge you as my teacher. Xiaozi's entire body was numb. He didn't know what this person would do to him. But to make him, Xiao's, admit his errors, unless the sun rose from the west. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop right now. At this moment Xiaozi's expression changed and he shouted out angrily. The garbage D class teacher was removing his pants. The spectating students were all shocked and in disbelief. The D class teacher was currently taking off Xiaozi's pants. Some female students screamed in embarrassment but continued looking without turning away, as if they were expecting something. Stop right now, I am the son of the Xiao family, a genius of a class. You dare to do this to me, I will make you pay. Xiao's felt his pants slowly slid off as he began shouting out in rage. I am a teacher of D class, though I am not your teacher, I will represent your teacher and teach you a lesson. I will make you understand what respect is, and how you should treat your juniors. Lin Fan then ripped off Xiaozi's pants without another word. The moment the pants were removed, a ray of light reflected off of Xiaozi's buttocks, causing it to shine dazzlingly. The light of the bottom. Lin Fan glanced over it and praised, "Not bad, not bad, smooth and glistening, the reflection effect is very strong." Xiao's heard Lin Fan's words and began spitting forth blood, nearly fainting on the spot. "You bastard, Xiao's, will fight you to the death. Do you realize your wrongs?" Lin Fan asked again. "Get lost," Xiao's roared. "Heh," Lin Fan sighed, shaking his head. He then took a ruler out from his storage bag. As a teacher, Lin Fan naturally carried a ruler. Although he hardly used it, he always carried one to constantly remind himself that he was a teacher. The students offstage were long shocked stiff by now. They didn't think the situation would turn into this. Han Mengmeng was long overwhelmed by the current spectacle. Xiao's was the son of the Xiao family, unrivaled in combat in the unparalleled 13, and greatly favored by the great Yan dynasty. But now he had been stripped off by senior and was about to be punished with a ruler. This situation left Han Mengmeng in disbelief. She was also worried that the Xiao family wouldn't let this go if they found out. Xiao's represented the face of the Xiao family after all, and to be treated like this in broad daylight, they wouldn't stand this at all. Lin Fan gently flicked the ruler, and it gave a snapping sound. Slap. Lin Fan had experienced this kind of student spanking before. In the past, he had received this sort of treatment several times in a certain school. But now that he was a teacher, he wondered how it would feel once he started the spanking. Slap. The sound was clear and loud. At the same time the ruler was smacked down, Xiaozi's buttocks began shaking, and a red mark was left behind. This scene made many female students cry out even more, it was just far too dazzling. Xiao's, a genius of the unparalleled 13, was also very handsome. Although he was a bit haughty and overly proud, to these female students, these were all good points. "Do you realize your wrongs?" Lin Fan asked. "Bastard." Xiao's glared angrily at Lin Fan while gritting his teeth. He couldn't move his body, so he was at Lin Fan's mercy. Heh, Lin Fan sighed. It seemed this student was difficult to teach. But for a teacher, there was no unteachable student. He believed that as long as he provided true love, the student would definitely realize his mistakes and repent. Bang bang, Lin Fan began spanking away with the ruler. 2 more red marks appeared on Xiaozi's buttocks, shining brightly and beautifully under the blaring sun. Ding, congratulations on self-created technique for Grand Mentor, Ruler of Love. Ding, congratulations Grand Mentor profession, experience plus 5,000. Ding, Ruler of Love, deep love, cutting pain, upon your body, but hurts my heart. Lin Fan began spanking away left and right. As the ruler smacked soundly upon Xiaozi's butt, he also forgot to ask Xiao's to repent. As the notification sounded, it woke Lin Fan up. He became filled with a deep remorse. As expected, spanking a student's butt was addictive. Just what was this new, Ruler of Love, skill? Lin Fan didn't think much and experimented by giving a spank. Slap. Do you realize your wrongs? Xiao's initially was about to curse him, but at that moment he froze. A surge of mysterious shame had begun slowly rising from the bottom of his heart, as if he had done something terribly bad that disappointed the teacher. This painful feeling made Xiao's feel as if he wasn't a good student. No, how could he feel this sort of shame? Xiao's clenched his teeth, he would not let this feeling conquer his heart. Lin Fan was surprised at this time. Xiaozi's facial expressions had changed. When previously asked, Xiao's would have definitely cursed him, but now, he was totally silent. There was something wrong, definitely wrong. Slap. Lin Fan spanked him again and carefully observed the changes in Xiao's. At this time, the turbulence within Xiaozi's heart became larger, and another sense of shame surged into Xiaozi's heart. Why, how could he have these sort of thoughts of repentance? Impossible, this was completely possible. He was Xiao's, a genius. He would become a powerful and indomitable person in the future. How could he admit his errors to such a lowlife like this? It's working. Lin Fan's heart leapt with joy. This new skill was rather strong. Ruler of Love. I wonder if this is the power of love. Slap, 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 slap. Lin Fan then began spanking away happily without asking anything more. With each spank, Lin Fan felt a wonderful sensation throughout his body. But for Xiao's, this was a kind of torture. Waves and waves of shame began slowly taking over his heart with each slap. Xiao's wanted to resist, but with each wave, the amount of shame began intoxicating him. Do you realize your wrongs? Lin Fan returned to himself, feeling as if his punishment should have taken effect. Chapter 64. All sides making their moves. Chapter 64. All sides making their moves. Xiao's wanted to shout out to this bastard that he wasn't wrong, but for some reason, he was conquered by the waves and waves of shame. Just like when a woman said she didn't want it anymore and stop, but in the end, begged for one to go faster, while wanting to cry. Xiao's essentially felt like that. I was wrong. At this moment, Xiaozi's voice was hoarse, and it was like he was completely worn out. The spectating students were all stunned. To them, this all seemed surreal. The unparalleled 13th Xiao's was defeated and brutally taught a lesson by a mere D-class teacher. This had never before happened with the Sky Heaven School before. Xiao's was really competitive. In their minds, Xiao's was an unusually arrogant person who would never give in to anyone. They didn't know what to say at this moment. Lin Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. Under his loving guidance, this stubborn student admitted his errors in the end. This was a good thing. Deflowering finger was a sinister technique in Lin Fan's opinion. It could make one's entire body numb and weak, from hard to soft. Lin Fan then gentle touched Xiaozi's body with his finger, and with a clank, Xiao's felt his body regain strength, and the previous powerless feeling disappearing. The first thing Xiao's did after regaining his strength was to pull his pants up. To know how to admit your mistakes, you are not lost yet. From now on, be sure to act properly. Lin Fan sighed and said, he felt his responsibilities were far too great. To bring a lost sheep back onto the correct path in life brought a great sense of accomplishment. If he didn't have other things to do, Lin Fan really wanted to teach for the rest of his life. Senior, watch out, Han Mengmeng suddenly cried out. The recovered Xiao's flexed his body and his true energy surged suddenly as he angrily smashed his fist into Lin Fan's chest. Flipping face just like that, it couldn't be helped. For Xiao's, the humiliation within his heart was still there. He needed to violently unleash it. His halberd was completely useless against this person, so the fist was obviously the same. But Xiao's didn't care as he just wanted to punch him. Bam! Lin Fan, who was initially immersed in his accomplishment, laughed awkwardly. He was unteachable, and this was quite enraging. Lin Fan turned his head, then looked at Xiao's, seems you haven't taken the lesson to heart yet. Xiao's jolted and retreated back while looking at Lin Fan with clenched teeth, then left without looking back. The students off stage stepped aside. They may have been all jolly when they were spectating, but now was different. Xiao's may not have been a match for this D-class teacher, but he could still squish all of them easily like ants. Senior, you're so strong. Han Mengmeng went forth and exclaimed. She was dazzled by Senior's performance just now. What is the situation between you two and Xiao's? Lin Fan asked. Han Mengmeng heard Senior's question and was a bit helpless. She then truthfully explained the situation. Lin Fan understood immediately, so that was the case. Han Mengmeng belonged to the Han family while Xiao's belonged to the Xiao family. These two families forging a relationship through marriage was a normal thing. Within this realm, whenever big households forged marriages, they usually wouldn't listen to the female's opinions. An order from the older generations was essentially sacred and could not be denied. November LBJNN. Xiao's was notified of his future fiancé a few days ago. Naturally, he was indifferent, and would just follow the arrangements within his family. Since the two houses had forged a marriage together, Xiao's couldn't naturally allow his future fiancé to be close with another man, that too someone who he considered a piece of trash. Thus, the previous incident had occurred. Lin Fan didn't want to interfere much in this matter. This was the problem of other families, and he was an outsider, so it was better not to interfere. He was planning on looting the 4 great families, so he didn't have the energy to deal with this matter. This matter should be solved by yourselves. I have other matters, so I will be leaving. Lin Fan exited the school and waved goodbye to the two before leaving. Han Mengmeng and Zhang Tianao watched Senior's disappearing figure and clenched their fists. Today's incident made Zhang Tianao feel a deep sense of danger, and towards Xiao's, he had a deep sense of powerlessness. Become stronger, become stronger. This strong urge to become stronger within his heart was a first for Zhang Tianao. I am going to become a disciple of Senior. Zhang Tianao looked as if had made up his mind. Ha, Han Mengmeng froze, Brother Zhang, Senior is D-class teacher. If you take him as your teacher, you will become a D-class student. If you do that, you will no longer have the benefits of B-class anymore. Whether it be a class or D-class, Senior is a powerful master. If I don't take this chance, I am afraid I will end up losing you in the future. Zhang Tianao said. After Lin Fan left the school, he wandered about around the city. He bought 13 pieces of fine iron from a blacksmith, as he was preparing to make each of his 13 students their own weapon. For the 13 students, obtaining a good weapon was essentially impossible. They were students of D-class after all. Also, he wasn't planning on staying in the Yan dynasty for long. He had more important matters to attend to after all. Lin Fan finished buying the materials and continued wandering around the city. Make way, make way. A thundering voice came from afar. Lin Fan and the civilians then stepped aside, watching as a line of people quickly passed through. Who are they? They seem to be quite important. Lin Fan was a bit curious. Seeing that they were in a hurry, he wondered if something had happened. It seems the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market is selling some sort of rare treasure. That was the Yun family symbol just now. Yesterday, I even saw those big shots from Saint Devil sect appear within the city. They are likely also here for this sale. Lin Fan listened carefully to the surrounding gossips. He froze when he heard the words Saint Devil sect. He didn't expect the Saint Devil sect to send someone over. What kind of treasure was it to even make the sect take action? Lin Fan had two things to do. One was to notify the sect's person of the Yan Emperor and Queen's plot, and the other was to perhaps take this treasure. Fellow brother, the big shots from the Saint Devil sect you just mentioned that were in the city, do you know where they are currently? Lin Fan asked. My brother, your question is rather pointless. The Yan dynasty is a subsidiary of the Saint Devil sect. If a big shot came from the Saint Devil sect, they would naturally live there. The bearded man laughed and pointed towards the imperial palace. Lin Fan frowned upon contemplating the difficulty. He didn't dare go if they lived in the palace. The Yan Emperor and Queen lived there, and those two were very strong. If he ended getting caught, it would be over for him. Lin Fan nodded, then merged with the crowd. He wanted to see just what Heaven and Earth Commerce Market was selling that could attract so many people. Chapter 65. Luckily, my mind is better. Chapter 65. Luckily, my mind is better. The Heaven and Earth Commerce Market was located in the southeast of the city, and was the sole commerce market within the Great Yan dynasty. The Heaven and Earth Commerce Market would represent their clients and sell their items while also looking for any treasures they could sell themselves. But within this realm, the items sold by common commerce markets usually only attracted normal martial artists. Martial artists with high cultivation bases would usually consider the items sold at commerce markets to be useless after all. But now, the item the commerce market was selling had attracted so many people, so it was rather shocking. There were countless people forming a huge crowd at the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market. Lin Fan was stunned from the scene, which seemed far too crazy. Lin Fan glanced around. Just the people on the outer edges all had cultivation bases within the post-celestial stage. They were obviously not from the Yan dynasty, and it was likely they really did come from far off. Lin Fan was curious now, just what was the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market selling that could attract this many people? My friends from all over the world, welcome to the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market. The Commerce Market is planning to sell a rare treasure here 3 days later, lesser celestial medicinal pills. Some people may still be thinking, just what are these, lesser celestial medicinal pills? So the Commerce Market will now again tell everyone, these, lesser celestial medicinal pills, can raise one into the lesser celestial stage after consumption. After the people of the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market had explained the effects of the lesser celestial medicinal pills, the surrounding people became noisy, clearly in disbelief. Lesser celestial medicinal pills. Anyone who consumes these can reach lesser celestial stage. How can this be? Everyone had this thought in their hearts. It was impossible. In the precelestial stage, one could still be considered human, one could be considered a superhuman in post-celestial, but upon reaching paracelestial, one could be considered a god. And lesser celestial stage was a god among gods. Flipping mountains and seas, changing fate itself, anything could be done. Those who reached the lesser celestial stage were essentially all supremely talented, superior in energy circulation, having faced countless dangers and adventures to attain that stage. But now, the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market was saying one could instantly attain the lesser celestial stage. This was completely impossible. Everyone settle down, the lesser celestial medicinal pills are genuine. The auction for the pills will start 3 days later, and the admission fee is 100,000 black gold coins. The auction will be done with black gold coins. Lin Fan was listening, and his expression slightly changed. There was definitely something wrong here. The black gold coin was unique to this realm, a type of ore that was deep within the earth. Black gold ore was forged from the energy of the heaven and earth and used as a common currency. The black gold coin contained true energy. This was a valuable item for any person, it could be used for cultivation after all. But the true energy within the black gold coins couldn't be absorbed. Even greater celestials had tried before, but the true energy within the black gold couldn't be drawn out. Thus, the black gold coin ended up becoming a national currency. For those with high cultivation bases, the black gold coins were essentially useless. And now, these, lesser celestial medicinal pills, were being sold for black gold coins. To Lin Fan, something was definitely up. If these, lesser celestial medicinal pills, really could boost one to a lesser celestial stage, then unless the person selling these, lesser celestial medicinal pills, was stupid, there would be no way he would actually sell them. If they were trading it for other valuables, Lin Fan would have still believed it. But selling it for black gold coins, there was no way Lin Fan was going to fall for it. A bunch of morons. Then, Lin Fan left without bothering to check them out. These, lesser celestial medicinal pills, just let the morons fight for them. Cheap stuff always has bad quality, cookies don't just drop from the heavens. Let's just continue on with what I need to do. 3 days later, he would come again and see if he can find his Saint Devil sect brothers. He had to relay the Yan dynasty's betrayal to the sect after all and have them make preparations. The next day, Lin Fan got out of bed and washed up, then walked merrily towards his D class. Within the school, Lin Fan was now a celebrity teacher. He would catch the attention of others wherever he walked. Being too strong was sometimes also a bad thing. Lin Fan walked slowly along the way. The main reason was so he could hear how others were talking about him. Look, that is the D-class teacher from yesterday who brutally taught Xiao's a lesson in the fighting stage. For real, I had something to do yesterday so I missed out on that match. It's one of the greatest disappointments in my life. Lin Fan heard the surrounding students whispering about him and was pleased. This was the feeling of attracting the attention of thousands. When he arrived in class, Lin Fan was expecting to receive the warm greeting of his students. But instead, he froze seeing that there were 3 uninvited guests. Lin Fan was extremely confused. Why were these 3 here? The 13 students in class were looking a bit nervously at one of the people. Xiao's was very famous in the school, and even they had heard of him before. They didn't know what Xiao's was doing here in D class. Did he perhaps have some business? Teacher, good morning. When the 13 students saw their teacher, they let out a sigh of relief, then stood up respectfully for their greeting. Good, Lin Fan nodded, then looked towards the 3 to ask what they needed. Senior, please accept me as your disciple. Zhang Tianao instantly knelt down to ask Lin Fan to accept him as a disciple. When he saw Xiao's also here, Zhang Tianao and Han Mengmeng were all startled. But seeing that Xiao's hadn't said anything, Zhang Tianao just decided to stay wary of him. He didn't know what the other party wanted after all. Lin Fan froze, looking at the kneeling Zhang Tianao. He wanted to become his disciple. What are you here for? Lin Fan asked while looking at Xiao's. Xiao's looked at Lin Fan, his heart turbulent. Yesterday, after returning home, the people within his house all looked at him strangely after finding out what had occurred at school. At the same time, when his father wanted to bring a group of people to school to seek out Lin Fan, he had stopped them. At night, when Xiao's removed his clothes and saw the red marks on his butt, the sense of shame once again welled up. And even more unbearable was when Xiao's lied down on his bed. He somehow felt as if had developed some sort of aftertaste for the ruler. I concede defeat. I, Xiao's, can afford a loss. I will now become your disciple. Xiao's said. Haha, Lin Fan shook his head, let's just forget that. You are a genius of a class, it would be pointless to enter my D class. I, Xiao's, am a man of my words. A loss is a loss. What about you? Lin Fan looked towards Han Mengmeng and asked. Senior, I just came with Brother Zhang to look. Han Mengmeng said. Han Mengmeng was really surprised this time. Xiao's had actually come to concede defeat instead of bringing people to bother Senior. This was unexpected for Han Mengmeng. For an arrogant person like him to step down a notch, it was simply incredible. The 13 students were all in amazement and their minds rather confused. Xiao's actually wanted to become their teacher's disciple. What was going on? Chapter 66, Heartache, Students' Betrayal. Chapter 66, Heartache, Students' Betrayal. Lin Fan looked at Xiao's. This one was a genius, a true genius in martial arts. He had high abilities, just that his personality was rather arrogant. All right, Shui, go get 2 teacups and boil some tea water. Lin Fan said. Yes, teacher. Lu Shui looked at Xiao's, her eyes blinking rapidly. For girls, the handsome Xiao's was very appealing. The cool and cocky face carried a great deal of damage in the eyes of females. Not long after, Lu Shui trotted back carrying 2 teacups and a kettle. Teacher, I brought them. Lu Shui placed the items on the podium and silently glanced at Xiao's, her eyes quietly sparkling. All right, since you two were captured by my personality and seek to become my disciples, naturally I cannot just decline you two. You two should be familiar with the process for discipleship, so I won't say anything more. Lin Fan pulled out a bench and sat down on it, then beckoned for his students to stand behind him. This should be proper enough. For Lin Fan, accepting an A-class genius was a rather impressive matter on his part. Lin Fan didn't think he would be so fitting as a teacher. Sometimes, one's high charismatic skill just cannot be stopped. Teacher, please have some tea. Zhang Tianao immediately filled a teacup without any hesitation, then knelt in front of Lin Fan while presenting the tea to him. Zhang Tianao understood that if he wanted to progress further on the path of martial arts, then the person in front of him could definitely lead him forth. For himself and also for Han Mengmeng, Zhang Tianao had to work hard. Good, Lin Fan received the tea and took a small sip while nodding his head. Teacher, please have some tea. After a moment's hesitation, Xiao's also followed after Zhang Tianao. The reasons Xiao's was seeking discipleship from Lin Fan were because he accepted his defeat, and secondly, he had this mysterious, budding, and persistent feeling within his heart that kept nagging him, hurry up and seek discipleship, hurry up and seek discipleship. If you don't become his disciple, you won't be able to taste the ruler of love in the future. Well, I already have 13 students. They are all seniors for you too. Zhang Tianao, you are my 14th student and Xiao's would be the 15th. Lin Fan said. Xiao's exploded upon hearing this. Teacher, why am I the 15th? What qualifications does he have to be above me? As for the other 13, Xiao's didn't bother saying anything. It was fine if he was under them, but the critical point was what capabilities did Zhang Tianao have to be above him? Because he knelt before you. Also, my words are words of wisdom. As my student, you cannot question my words. Lin Fan said. Xiao's didn't say anything, but he was disgruntled. He had been suppressed by Zhang Tianao, which was unbearable. Teacher, didn't you say last time that not everything a teacher says is correct? If one has doubts, shouldn't they speak up? Lu Shuishui said from the side. Lin Fan froze. Something was off. What had happened to the usually lovable and docile Lu Shuishui? When did she start questioning my words? Lin Fan glanced left and right and realized Lu Shuishui's flowery gaze, then secretly cursed. Was it possible she had been ensnarled by Xiao's? Traitor, a full-blown traitor. Ahem, Lin Fan lightly coughed. How could he refute his own words at this point? Even if he was in the wrong this time, he had to still make it seem like he was right. Other teachers can sometimes be wrong, but everything I say is the truth of life. All right now, today's discipleship ceremony is now over. Let's start the lesson. Lin Fan didn't want to continue this subject any longer. Xiao's had ensnared one of his great disciples right upon his entrance. He would remember this for now, and in the future when Xiao's messes up, he would punish him with the ruler of love. In the imperial palace, the Great Yan dynasty was a subsidiary of the Saint Devil sect, so when Saint Devil sect disciples came to the Yan dynasty, they naturally would receive the highest treatment. Even if other sects came to the Great Yan dynasty, they would only be able to stay within the imperial city as they didn't have the rights to live in the imperial palace. The Yan Emperor sat quietly upon his throne, with his eyes closed and a slight smile on his lips. The Saint Devil sect, Generational sect, Infinite Devil sect, Lian Longsword sect, Righteous Path sect, both the righteous and devil sects had sent many over. The lesser celestial medicinal pills surely had quite an alluring effect to be able to attract so many sects over. The Yan Emperor opened his god's eyes. They flashed about, but hidden within was an immense amount of anger. When he recalled the despicable person that had sneak attacked himself and the queen, and the fact that the person still hadn't been found, his heart churned with rage. He had been majestic his entire life. He had never encountered such an incident before, and this was a great shame for him, something he would never be able to wash away. At this moment, the Yan Emperor submerged himself into the void and then appeared within a dark mysterious place. The place was like an abandoned area within the world, pitch black as the lamps in the corner shined dimly. The Yan Emperor walked slowly forth along the dark passage. Ah! Bursts of piercing shrieks sounded out from within like demonic screams. When he reached the end, a mixed sour smell of rotten decay entered the Yan Emperor's nose. The Yan Emperor marveled in this rotten smell, the feeling was incredibly wondrous. The powerful and dignified Yan Emperor revealed a revolting expression. If this was seen by the citizens, they would surely be shocked. Clang, clang, sounds of steel chains colliding with each other rose like a demon's roar, sinister and terrifying, bringing forth tremendous fear. Within the very depths was a deep cell surrounded by walls. Numerous glowing hooks penetrated the chests of each prisoner within the cells. Death to the Yan Emperor. Waves of bitter curses echoed deep throughout the dungeon, as if casting forth the feelings of unyielding willpower within the hearts. The heavens belong to me, the earth belongs to me. Your hatred will only make me stronger, ha ha. The Yan Emperor's eyes became pitch black as if he were possessed by a demon, and his body was enveloped within a light of blood. Everything is mine. The Yan Emperor held out his arms, his long hair flowing wildly. The entire dungeon suddenly burst forth with a frightening wave of suction. The people imprisoned within the dungeon began shivering. Their blood energy then began surging forth and slowly merged into the Yan Emperor's body. Death to the Yan Emperor. A person within one cell had long been reduced to a bare thin figure due to suffering from a long time of absorption, and at this time, he became even drier and eventually was reduced to a pile of bones. The Yan Emperor immersed within the marvelous feeling of blood energy. The blood of the gods within the Saint Devil sect is mine. The entire world is mine. No one can stop me. You all should enjoy your last limelight. The Yan Emperor's pitch black eyes slightly changed, then with a final laugh, he walked through the void and left. Chapter 67. If I don't enter hell, who will? Chapter 67. If I don't enter hell, who will? Shao family. Young master, you have returned. The master of the house is waiting for you inside. Seeing the young master return, the housekeeper immediately stepped forth and greeted him. Although there had been many bad rumors recently, since he had been the housekeeper of the Shao family for decades, he still believed in the young master. Thus, he decided to ignore all the rumors. The entire way back, Shaoxi's head was lowered as if he was struggling with something. When he heard the housekeeper's words, he gave a nod and proceeded inside. At the start of the first lesson, Shao's had been very disappointed. The verbal lesson was nothing more than a self-wallowing propaganda. It had seemed that he was a bit crazy to seek discipleship from a D-class teacher. This would definitely affect his future path in martial arts. But since he was a level 6 post-celestial, there was no one left capable of teaching him within the Sky Heaven School. So his future endeavors all relied on him. Shao's had thought of entering a sect, but he was stuck on which sect he should enter. That teacher which he despised had spent many hours in the morning's lesson, which had caused many ideas to emerge within Shao's. It was as if his mind had been broadened and he had gained a glimmer of insight to his past studies. Shaoxi's abilities and intelligence were originally very high to begin with, and the story Lin Fan had told this morning had further increased it. With an increased intelligence, he naturally began to doubt what he had learned in the past. He was also able to realize the places that were lacking. But since Shao's had just started taking Lin Fan's lessons, even with an increased intelligence, he still needed time to process it. Within the antechamber of the house, the head of the Shao family, Shao Jianfeng, sat there expressionlessly, but there was a trace of anger on his face. The tea on the side table had long become cold. He had just heard the rumor that his own son had sought discipleship from a D-class teacher. This made Shao Jianfeng furious, a son of the Shao family, a genius of the Sky Heaven School, yet he had fallen low enough to seek discipleship from a D-class teacher. Was he trying to destroy the face of the entire Shao family? Father, you called for me. Shao's came into the antechamber. Seeing the expression on his father's face, he knew that the fact he had sought discipleship from a D-class teacher had probably been discovered. Yesterday's incident had already enraged his father. Shao's knew if he didn't have a good explanation for today's incident, this situation wouldn't be resolved. This morning, your teacher came over and said you entered D-class, is this true? Shao Jianfeng asked quietly as if he were a sleeping lion that would explode any minute. Yes, Shao's nodded. At this moment, the calm Shao Jianfeng suddenly slammed on the side table, the teacups on top spilling all over the floor. Did you lose your mind? Not staying in a class and running to D-class instead? Do you know just how many people are laughing at our family? The entire face of the Shao family has been destroyed by you. Do you have any idea what you have done? Explain, why did you become his disciple? Shao Jianfeng snapped. If he didn't receive a satisfactory explanation, he decided he would go to the school and find this D-class teacher and see just what kind of method did he use to make his son leave a class and go to the D-class. Shao's was silent for a moment. Why did he seek out the discipleship? Shao's had thought about this question before, but every time he thought about it, he would recall the sensation of the ruler of love upon his buttocks. As if he had sought discipleship just so he could experience that sensation again. But naturally, Shao's would never say that. Father, that D-class teacher is very powerful. Currently, none of the A-class teachers can provide me any more help within the Sky Heaven School, but this D-class teacher defeated me with one move. I believe if I stay by his side, I can perhaps obtain more knowledge. The words Xiao's had just said were in truth contrary to his own conscience. Xiao Zhanfeng looked at Xiao's, who seemed serious, and also slowly regained his composure. He knew how strong Xiao's was, a level 6 post-celestial. The skills he cultivated were also passed down by the ancestors of the Xiao family. If it came down to strength, even a level 7 post-celestial needed to go all out against him. Really? Xiao Zhanfeng asked. Yes, father. This morning I attended one of his lessons, and now many questions have emerged within my mind. I seem to have gained some special insight to the previous martial skills I have cultivated. If father has no other matters, I would like to return to my room and process my thoughts for a while. Xiao said. Xiao Zhanfeng saw that Xiao's looked really serious, so he eventually gave a dismissive wave and let him leave. He then immersed himself deep within his thoughts. Was it perhaps true? The next day, Lin Fan once again told his students of another story, and after raising their abilities, he then quickly exited from the school. Lin Fan had been unable to sleep last night and spent the entire night thinking. What if this, lesser celestial medicinal pill, was real? What if there really was a person who would actually trade lesser celestial pills for black gold coins? N-O-V-E in .c ohm. The world was big and full of wonders. There were all kinds of people. How could he use his thoughts to measure another person's thoughts? This was absolutely wrong. If these, lesser celestial medicinal pills, were real and he bought one and consumed it, he would instantly rise to the lesser celestial stage. Then, when he returned to the sect, he would be treated as a treasure. To do or not to do, he had spent the entire night debating. It doesn't matter if other people don't do it, Lin Fan will do it. There were still 2 days left before the auction. The first strike was the best, striking late would be bad. If he waited till the auction and then went to steal it, then it would be too late. Something that important, it was impossible that only one person would come to bid. Everyone would definitely come, and even if his brick was overpowered, he still couldn't knock out an entire crowd. So he must steal them beforehand. Lin Fan came to Heaven and Earth Commerce Market and snuck in while pretending to be a typical customer. Currently, there were many people within the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market. There were all kinds items out on display for people to choose. The auction for the lesser celestial medicinal pills attracted many sects, and during this idle time, these sect disciples naturally would come over to check the commodities and see if there was anything else they came to like. Lin Fan glanced around while looking for suspicious areas. If this lesser celestial medicinal pill was real, it definitely would be hidden in some secret place because of it being priceless. Just where could it be hidden? Lin Fan found an area, then entered stealth mode and began randomly searching the marketplace. After looking for a very long time, Lin Fan was about to give up. Just where the hell was it hidden? But at this moment, Lin Fan's eyes lit up. He then saw a very prideful-looking middle-aged man under the cover of the crowd, heading towards the inner chambers. Lin Fan's heart leapt with joy. The person was likely someone of a very high position. Without it another thought, he immediately followed him. Perhaps he may be able to find the lesser celestial medicinal pills by following this person. Lin Fan hid within the corners of the chamber and was shocked to the point where he could hardly breathe. The person in front of him was someone that made him deeply scared. The Yan Emperor. Lin Fan was initially thinking of smacking the brick over his head. But then the air suddenly fluctuated, scaring him to the point where he huddled down motionlessly into the corner. At the same time, Lin Fan was thankful he didn't attack, otherwise it would be tragic. As the two people talked on, Lin Fan's heart was rather unsettled. He didn't think he would meet such a shady situation. These lesser celestial pills actually belonged to the Yan Emperor. Only after the Yan Emperor finished giving his orders and left did Lin Fan feel relieved. Then, the middle-aged man hid the lesser celestial pills in a secret place. Of course, it wasn't really a secret for Lin Fan because he had seen the whole thing from beginning to end. When the middle-aged man left looking rather satisfied, Lin Fan immediately opened the secret area and a beautiful case appeared from within. Without another word, he took out the pills from the inside. Ding! Discovered upper heaven class medicinal pills, violent blood pill. Violent blood pill can temporarily boost user's cultivation base. After the effect ends, the user will explode and die. This is a medicinal pill that has never appeared before in this realm. After ingestion experience plus 2 million. As expected, there was no lesser celestial pill, it was all a lie. Lin Fan just didn't understand one thing. What was the Yan Emperor trying to do? Why was he trying to do this? Lin Fan couldn't comprehend the entire situation. It was a plot, there was definitely some big sinister plot. Suddenly, Lin Fan felt a huge burden upon himself. As a person of justice and love, he couldn't just let it be when he saw something this sinister. A voice sounded from within Lin Fan's heart. Save the people. This was a sacred and difficult task, but Lin Fan wasn't afraid. Even if no one understood, he had to stop this option. He couldn't let everyone fall for the Yan Emperor's plot. Lin Fan mustered up his courage, then swallowed all the medicinal pills. He then pulled down his pants and took a dump into the case. After cleaning his butt, he pulled up his pants and then placed the case back in its original place. Next would be Lin Fan's path of saving the people. Although the path would be difficult and very harsh, and maybe no one would understand him, Lin Fan was still not afraid. He was a person filled with love and justice after all. If I don't enter hell, who will? Chapter 68. Rescue Operation. Chapter 68. Rescue Operation. Lin Fan was disappointed with the lesser celestial medicinal pills that the Heaven and Earth Commerce Market was promoting. It was obviously a rip-off, but the pills did have some use as they increased his experience by 2 million. Lin Fan wasn't satisfied with his current level 6 post-celestial cultivation base. A person filled with love and justice like him would definitely walk a turbulent path in the future. But if a greater celestial were to appear, Lin wouldn't dare to proclaim to be a warrior of love and justice. As for eating all the pills and then leaving a dump, this was completely unintentional. Lin Fan felt that this so-called violent blood pill must have poison, because he wanted to take a dump as soon as he ate them, so it was inevitable. But luckily, there was enough room for him to take his dump. November LBJNN. After Lin Fan returned to the Sky Heaven School, he then gave his 15 minions a new set of homework, which was to find out where the various sect disciples were living or find out where they usually hung out. Lin Fan was preparing his operation to save them. This situation actually had nothing to do with him, but the heavens had sent forth its will. If he didn't save them, then who else would? His students may not be that great in cultivation, but they were really efficient in reconnaissance, and each one returned quickly to give their report. Teacher, the 13th prince is inviting the various sect disciples to meet up at the Whisk Moon Tower. The students relayed their reports to Lin Fan. Lin Fan froze. He had not been at the Great Yan dynasty for very long, so he was unfamiliar with some of the places. In the end, he became informed after Xiaozi's explanation. Though Whisk Moon Tower sounded elegant, it was actually just a fancy place for the upper class to partake in fine entertainment of all sorts. To be blunt, it was essentially a gentleman's club. Lin Fan was shocked when he heard this. He didn't think the sect disciples would go to a place like that. But then he thought about how those sect disciples trained for so many years within their sects, and how disproportionate the gender ratio was within the sects. It was likely that not many men are able to satisfy their male desires. So, for those male disciples who were unable to release their pent-up frustrations, whether it be due to appearance or problems with their cultivation base, they could only partner up with their right hands and achieve satisfaction. Since they were in the imperial city and even invited by the prince, it was naturally the time for those disciples to release themselves. Also, since the promotion of the lesser celestial pills was so widespread this time, the sects obviously wouldn't be sending over any average disciples. So it was also possible that those powerful disciples that were sent over might not even bother to go to this indulgence of desires. Night fell upon the Great Yan dynasty as the streets started bustling with people. In the historical imperial city, only nighttime was when one could truly experience its brilliance. The lights of thousands of houses connect the whole dynasty into a single piece, illuminating the sky. Lin Fan was a very particular person. Even though he was going out to save the sect disciples, he couldn't just disregard his get-up. Lin Fan had taken advantage of his free time to buy a set of clothes, wearing which made him give off a unique appearance, making him look like a fine and proper bachelor. Lin Fan went to the Whisk Moon Tower and gave a slight smile upon seeing the building. Not bad, not bad. Very lavishly decorated and luxurious. As expected of an imperial city gentleman's club, just the appearance alone would make many people retreat. Because of its highly luxurious appearance, the first impression it would give people would be that it must be very expensive. Lin Fan smiled dashingly and walked forth upright in a mighty manner. Even with just his clothing alone, how could there be any problems? But when Lin Fan came to the entrance he was stopped by two people at the door. Please present your admission invitation. Admission invitation? Lin Fan froze, a bit confused. What kind of gentleman's club was this to even require an admission invitation? They were taking themselves far too seriously. Tonight we are serving the various sects of the world, no others will be allowed inside. If you don't have an admission invitation, then please leave. Lin Fan was about to say something but stopped himself, then he smiled towards the two people. I forgot to bring my admission invitation. I will go back and get it. Lin Fan then left rubbing his chin. Just where was he supposed to get an admission invitation? He thought about using stealth, but he was afraid of his cultivation base being too low. It would be bad if his stealth was imperfect and he ended up being caught by any powerful person inside. Lin Fan's eyes lit up at this moment. He saw a random disciple up ahead who was currently looking at something in a stall, and within his hand was the so-called admission invitation. Lin Fan glanced over at him. The disciple looked rather young, most likely 13 to 14 years old. Someone so young should not go to a gentleman's club. It was improper. The sleazy atmosphere within the gentleman's club would definitely negatively influence the child's health. As a person of justice, he couldn't let such a thing happen. He had to save him at all cost. Lin Fan acted casually and stepped forth. Little brother, are you heading to the Whisk Moon Tower? Yes, and you are. The little sect disciple looked at Lin Fan suspiciously, not knowing who the person was. Can I ask which sect are you from? Lin Fan asked with a smile. Huang Xiaochun of the Hunyuan sect. Huang Xiaochun wasn't too vigilant of Lin Fan, this was the imperial city after all. Furthermore, he hadn't felt any rush of energy from the person, so the person was likely a normal human. Brother Huang, I just saw a glowing stone up ahead, and it also had this trace of red light. I saw that Brother Huang was most likely a sect disciple and thought you must be quite knowledgeable. So I wanted to ask if you could take a look. Lin Fan made up an incredibly fake-sounding story, but Huang Xiaochun still ended up falling for it. Huang Xiaochun's expression suddenly changed, and he quietly pulled Lin Fan along. Shish, fellow brother, let's not be too loud now. I will go with you to take a look. Huang Xiaochun's heart leapt with joy. The sect head had said he had incredibly high luck. He had come to the Great Yan dynasty this time to broaden his horizons, and who would have thought he would run into such a lucky situation right off the bat. Huang Xiaochun followed Lin Fan into an alley. After several turns, Lin Fan also lost track of where he had brought Huang Xiaochun, but when the surroundings became void of any people, he then stopped. Lin Fan looked at Huang Xiaochun while feeling guilty. He was still a child after all. But after a bit, he realized that how could he let someone so young go to that sort of place? Wouldn't that taint his soul? Lin Fan reached that conclusion and stopped hesitating. He was doing a good deed, he was saving someone. Hey, fellow brother, where is the treasure you were speaking of? Huang Xiaochun looked around carefully but couldn't find the said treasure. Over here. Where? Huang Xiaochun turned around and only saw an unknown object slam into his forehead. Slap. He became unconscious after being hit. Lin Fan held Huang Xiaochun in one hand and the admission invitation in the other. His deflowering finger instantly activated, and only after making Huang Xiaochun drenched in sweat and his entire body powerless did he stop. In order to save some trouble, Lin Fan found a rope and tied Huang Xiaochun up, dragging him into a nearby public toilet stall. Then, he flipped over the sign outside the toilet stall to indicate that there was someone inside. After finishing all this, Lin Fan dusted off his hands and headed towards the Whisk Moon Tower. Chapter 69. Senior sister, you're so beautiful. Chapter 69. Senior sister, you're so beautiful. Oh boy, this Whisk Moon Tower is far too extravagant. Back on Earth, Lin Fan still was a proper boy, so he had never gone to places like the Red Light District and such. So when Lin Fan entered the Whisk Moon Tower, the scene in front of him instantly ensnarled his little heart. Waves of perfume wafted over, fragrant flowers drifted as pink veils danced about. Many wonderful figures twirled around, their bodies packing postures of all kinds with so many different styles. Just one glance and one wouldn't be able to look away. Each and every single one of them had dazzling eyelashes, intoxicating eyes, and exquisite bodies. It was quite the show. Those sect disciples had never experienced anything like this before, even the older sect disciples were utterly dumbfounded. They wanted to move, but when they saw the other sect disciples motionless, they began to feel it would be bad if they moved first. Thus everyone remained still and waited for someone to act first and then take the chance to join in. Just that essentially everyone was thinking like this, so it ended up with all of them just sitting there as still as trees, feeling lust but not having any guts to act. After Lin Fan had taken in all of the scenery, he felt that the people of the Imperial City were far too extravagant with their lives. If this were back on Earth, it would have been closed down so many times, it was completely poisonous to the eyes. Lin Fan also nodded to himself in secret. He was correct in stealing Huang Xiaochun's admission invitation. Otherwise, if Huang Xiaochun actually had come, he would have long been swallowed by these intoxicating females. Letting such a young child indulge in such pleasures, his nutrition level will not be able to keep up. Lin Fan hadn't forgotten his purpose for coming to the Whisk Moon Tower, but since he hadn't found out the reason for this gathering yet, he decided it would best to wait and observe the situation before doing anything. Lin Fan walked deeper inside and saw some elderly sect members caressing many enticing females while playing with them, their brows jumping in joy. Lin Fan looked around, his heart a bit exasperated. The disciples that came to the Whisk Moon Tower were all in the post-celestial stage, and some of the older ones were even in the paracelestial stage. They may be only above average in their sects, but in the Great Yan dynasty, they would be considered incredibly powerful. Humans had emotions and desires, and even people with higher cultivation bases were not unbreakable, let alone these people. Just what made Lin Fan a bit frustrated was that there was no disciple from the Saint Devil sect. This was rather disappointing. The 13th prince has arrived. A call sounded from the outside. Lin Fan hadn't been in the Great Yan dynasty for too long, but he knew that the 13th prince was the most likely person to become the next emperor. He had the mind and the power. At this time, a male with a high and mighty presence came walking in, under the escort of many people. Level 4 Paracelestial. This was the 13th prince of the Great Yan dynasty. Upon his arrival, the sect members inside all rose and greeted him. It was the 13th prince who paid for this occasion after all. So naturally, showing politeness was a must. Although the Great Yan dynasty couldn't compare to the various sects, he was still a prince. Furthermore, he was also a very capable prince. The 13th prince gave a smile, with a fan in hand, and nodded in thanks to the surrounding people. I feel honored that everyone came to my gathering tonight. If there is anything you find dissatisfying, please do tell me. The 13th prince said with his greeting. Of course not. The 13th prince's hospitality is very satisfying. Yes, I have heard of this Whisk Moon Tower before but never had the chance to come. This trip has been very worthwhile for me. All the sect members were having a lot of fun, so they naturally acted very politely. Alright, as long as everyone is enjoying their night, I will let you all be now. The 13th prince said knowingly, and then departed under everyone's escort. Lin Fan also quietly slipped out. He wanted to investigate the surroundings and see what the leaders of the sect members were at. The auction of the lesser celestial pills naturally attracted many sects. For some of the stronger sects, the lesser celestial stage wasn't that important, but they were interested in the lesser celestial pills themselves. A pill with the ability to raise one into the lesser celestial stage, just what kind of pill was it to have this kind of effect? It was an extraordinary pill they had never heard of before. Cultivation had always been done one step at a time, and there was no shortcut. If this lesser celestial pill were for real, then it would be terrifying. There would be no point in those years of harsh training anymore, and it would be far quicker to just eat a pill. Lin Fan wandered about inside the Moon Whisk Tower. Each room was empty, the entire venue had been reserved tonight, and the sect members were still enjoying their time outside. It was far too early to be going at it within the rooms, so it seemed he needed to wait a bit longer. The junior brother has been peeking about outside for so long, why not come inside and have a seat? I am so lonely by myself. When Lin Fan checked the next room, he saw that a female inside elegantly drinking wine, and acting all cute. She began beckoning him with her finger. Lin Fan felt a chill run throughout his body. This voice was far too alluring, and he had nearly fallen prey to her seductions. This female was definitely no simple human, just her voice alone was very intoxicating. It seems I've got the wrong room. I will be going now. Lin Fan's heart was pounding. He had a very important mission to accomplish, and he didn't have time to indulge in pleasures. Although he didn't clearly see her face, the voice alone had made him drunk. Come, have a little drink with me before leaving, won't you? Just when Lin Fan was preparing to run, the wooden doors blew completely open and a pink veil carrying an alluring aroma wrapped itself tightly around his wrist. Crap, this woman is quite strong. Lin Fan was surprised. He didn't expect her to be this strong. He initially thought she was one of the Whisk Moon Tower's females, but it looked like he was wrong. Lin Fan began thinking, if he ran now, it would definitely be suspicious. He then just decided to throw caution to the wind. Whatever, what am I scared of? It's just drinking a bit of wine, it's not like I never drank any before. Oh, so you are a disciple of the Hunyuan sect. Lin Fan walked in and his eyes lit up. She was incredibly beautiful, her body curved in all the right places. Her style was alluring, her face smooth and delicate, especially the eyes. She was attractive to the point his heart had nearly been captured. Manure beckoned with her finger. Lin Fan's body involuntarily sat to the side, then like a snake, she wrapped herself around Lin Fan's body. Junior brother, do you know who I am? Manure was very fragrant, her finger gently stroking Lin Fan's chest. Lin Fan quivered, this feeling was really unbearable. Lin Fan glanced around and saw an emblem on the table. This was the emblem that would be given at the entrance once you handed over the admission invitation. The emblem would represent which sect one was from. And the emblem on the table had these words. Infinite Flower Sect. Lin Fan's heart jolted when he saw these words. This was bad. He knew of the Infinite Flower Sect, it was another devil sect. The disciples within the sect were all young and beautiful females, but the skills they cultivated were all very sinister. When they had a session with males, they would absorb their true energy. The Infinite Flower Sect's female disciples were trained from a young age to cultivate a form of charming technique. Along with their alluring methods, very few males could resist them. Some male sect disciples would still want to have a session with the Infinite Flower Sect even if their true energy would be absorbed. Senior sister, you're so beautiful. Lin Fan had to stop Manure, just that Manure was a level 2 paracelestial, so she was far stronger than him. If she got real, how could he resist? He didn't want to taint his pure body at a place like this either. Manure smiled, little junior brother, what's your name? You surely know how to make me happy. I will treat you very well. Lin Fan couldn't even run at this point, so he improvised. He then blushed and said in an embarrassed manner like he had lost his soul. Senior sister, my name is Huang Xiaochun. Lin Fan sighed. Junior brother Huang Xiaochun, I will definitely repay you back in the future, so just take the blame for me this time. Chapter 70. Soaring, Earth Shaken. Chapter 70. Soaring, Earth Shaking. This was a human-devouring demon, and from the looks of it, he would be eaten. Junior brother Xiaochun, do you think my breasts look good? Manure's jade-like tender hands wrapped around Lin Fan's neck, the veil around her half open. Lin Fan's blood boiled when he looked. If this continued any longer, something would really end up happening. Lin Fan always adhered to the supremacy of equality between men and women. Although Manure was rather coquettish, Lin Fan wouldn't look at her with erotic eyes. Now Manure was openly asking him whether her breasts looked good. Lin Fan naturally wasn't a hypocrite. With her front half exposed, he wanted to look but also couldn't bring himself to do so. Manure looked at Huang Xiaochun and smiled slightly. She loved teasing these inexperienced sect disciples, it was amusing and fun. Just at this moment, Manure was startled. This innocent little junior Huang Xiaochun's eyes had suddenly locked onto her breasts, which was rather unexpected for her. Junior brother Xiaochun, aren't my breasts lovely? Manure began swaying around. To Lin Fan the initially voluminous breasts now looked even richer. Fair complexion, rich and round, and very memorable. Beautiful, senior sister's breasts are so beautiful. Lin Fan said without any hesitation. He was an honest person and would never dispute true beauty. Junior brother Xiaochun, then why are you frowning? Have you perhaps seen someone even prettier than me? Manure's voice was soft and her hands wrapped around Lin Fan's body like a snake. Senior sister, because I saw your lovely breasts, I suddenly feel inspired and came up with a poem. Lin Fan said in a lamenting manner. Manure quivered slightly, her smile widened. I didn't think junior brother Xiaochun was a poetic person. In that case, I would very much like to hear the poem you created for me. Manure's tempting voice was sweet and alluring, just the sound of it made one feel unbearable. Senior sister, let's go on the bed. I will slowly tell my poem to you. Lin Fan said. Manure's tender and light body tightly clung onto Lin Fan. Junior brother Xiaochun is so impatient. I don't have any strength left, so carry me over. Lin Fan's eyelids twitched. Damn it, she's so coquettish and shameless. But whatever, I will let you taste my wrath in a bit. I promise to make you cry out in resistance. Lin Fan was ambitious, so he obviously wasn't timid. He embraced Manure's waist and lifted her up, then walked towards the bed. She was very light, her skin silky smooth, a truly high-class beauty. Senior sister, get down here. I will use my household technique to massage you. That way senior sister can relax while listening to my poem. Lin Fan said. Junior brother Xiaochun is so caring, I want to stay with you forever. Manure said softly. Then like Lin Fan instructed, she laid down, then pulled down the shawl on her back, revealing her smooth and delicate back. Lin Fan placed his hands onto Manure's back, her back was very soft and smooth. Junior brother Xiaochun, hurry up. I am all ready. Manure closed her eyes and said. Lin Fan nodded and began thinking. He recalled a passionate poem of a certain national scholar, and thought he could use that. Milky smooth, senior sister has a breast of 2, one on the left and one on the right. Like a blooming cardamom, of 2 and 8. Glistening like the day, sleek like the night. Like a meow, like a wave, like a double peak, and like a flower house. No other beauty can compare, while all the males swoon to your gentleness and consideration. Lin Fan proclaimed softly. The world was big, and although there were many martial artists, there were also many scholars. Since the great Yan dynasty valued martial artists more, scholars didn't really have much status. Thus, there are not that many scholars within the imperial city. Manu was indulging in Lin Fan's massage, and after hearing the poem, she began smiling. How is the color? Deep like the winter snow and ice. How is the sensation? Soft like the early summer cotton vel b in c ohm. How is the taste? Fresh like the spring peaches and plums. How is the appearance? Bountiful like the autumn harvest. The movements like a cautious white rabbit, but as quiet as a carefree white dove. Mighty, plentiful, pink and tender, yet translucent like the water. It ensnares men and makes women grieve. Overlook my haggardness for looking at your 2 jade peaks. Just like how a boat enters a harbor, it felt like I was home. Finally braving through the cold wind and rain and into the lofty warm seas. Deep, shallow, intoxicating, while soaring. Lin Fan was as if he were possessed by a true scholar, and gave forth an earth-shaking poem. Junior brother Xiaochun, is this really made just for me? Manu had an excited expression on her face, her eyes glistening as if she were truly excited. Lin Fan froze, he was a bit confused. It wasn't a big deal, rather minor actually. There was no need to be that excited. But Lin Fan didn't say anything and just nodded. Yes, senior sister, do you like it? Lin Fan said. I like it, I absolutely love it. Manu's fine shoulders lightly trembled as she laid on the bed in tears. The tears were tears of excitement and joy. Lin Fan then gently brushed her head. The hair were shiny, silky smooth, and had an enchanting aroma. Senior sister is such an emotional person, Lin Fan said in a lamenting manner. Junior brother Xiaochun, Manu was very touched at the moment. She wanted to repay him with her body and take this junior brother to the very peak of life. Senior sister, I am coming to save you, Lin said in a tender voice. Junior brother, I love you so. Slap. But at that moment, the legendary brick appeared in the hand Lin Fan was using to stroke Manu, and with a gentle smack, Manu became unconscious. Hee, trying to seduce yours truly, in your dreams. Lin Fan smiled and glanced at Manu, then began searching her body. Lin Fan lifted Manu's small hand and removed the ring on her finger, then checked inside. As expected, there was a huge pile of black gold inside. Lin Fan placed all the black gold into his bag. Taking all this black gold should suffice. Lin Fan glanced at the other items inside the ring and hesitated. He was here to save people, not to loot, but then he decided against it. I saved her, I am her savior. Recently, money has been tight, so borrowing her items shouldn't be any problem. When I become a supreme and invincible being, I will just pay her back in double. After he had thought that, Lin Fan then decided not to be so hesitant and took all he could. As for the martial skills, he didn't bother taking them. It was meant for females, so why would a male be using it? Chapter 71, Tragic Huang Xiaochun. Chapter 71, Tragic Huang Xiaochun. Before he started leaving, Lin Fan came over to Manu's bedside. He extended a finger and with a single stroke, deflowering finger, activated and made her body powerless. But Lin Fan didn't think it was safe enough, so he also attacked with a black tiger steals heart. Manu's chest was very beautiful. Lin Fan was afraid of single-handedly destroying this beauty, and only after attacking and seeing that they still looked the same did he become relieved. If she still has enough power after this attack to get up and find me, I, Lin Fan, will submit to you. He had gained experience after using Black Tiger Steel's heart on Manu's body. Unfortunately, he had more important matters to attend to. Otherwise, he would love to stay and level up a little. After exiting, Lin Fan closed the doors to Manu's room, and glanced around for a bit. There were already several sect disciples who had taken the women from Moonwhisk Tower into the rooms. As for these sect disciples, Lin Fan naturally disdained them. These rich fellows were likely the sect's leading people, and he naturally had to be careful of them. Just their cultivation bases alone were way higher than him. Lin Fan carried the idea of helping those who could be helped. Those who couldn't be helped, he could only give up on them. After Lin Fan finished saving a leader of the universal sect, an uproar came from the outside. Hunyuan sect's Huang Xiaochun, get out here right now. Manuer's energy surged within the Moonwhisk Tower. A dissatisfied, cold, and murderous momentum surrounded her, which also interrupted many lovely happenings going on in the premises. The sect disciples that were enjoying their time with the Moonwhisk Tower's women were scared stiff by this voice and narrowly avoided disaster. The doors to many rooms opened as the sect disciples rushed out, their faces filled with discontent, preparing to punish the person that had interrupted their great time. Some disciples with lower cultivation bases paled instantly upon seeing Manuer. But still, although they were scared of Manuer, they brutally punished her in their minds. Woman, what the hell are you screaming about? At this moment, a leading disciple of Hunyuan's sect came out wearing thin clothes, his face incredibly furious. He had almost reached climax, but had been scared by this woman, causing it to shrink back. For him, this was a major rip-off. Hunyuan sect's Huang Xiaochun, get out here right now. Manuer's soft and weak appearance had disappeared, and she was now as cold as ice. She had awoken only to find that the medicinal pills and black gold coins within her storage ring had all disappeared. Aside from that, her chest was surging with an unbearable pain. That damn brat had stolen her stuff and then brutally assaulted her. She had to make him pay. What do you want from my junior brother Huang? Are you perhaps not satisfied yet and want to? The Hunyuan sect disciple laughed pervertedly. Shut up, Manuer snapped. What, do you perhaps want to fight? The Hunyuan sect disciple didn't retreat. Even if Manuer was a level 2 paracelestial, it didn't mean anything to him, he wasn't scared of her. Stop arguing, let's talk it out. Manuer, why are you looking for Hunyuan sect's Huang Xiaochun? If you don't explain, how will we know what's going on? A Wind Sword sect disciple said in a teasing manner. They were all familiar with the Infinite Flower sect's disciples. They were wonderful, wonderful like a surging wave, wonderful to the point their entire body became asterisk asterisk. The other sect disciples began joining in. Their fun in bed had been interrupted, so they might as well listen in on the situation. Senior brother, senior brother. At this time, a pungent smell wafted in, and a person covered in unknown black and yellow stains came rushing over. The Moonwhisk Tower had been reserved by the 13th Prince for the entertainment of the sect disciple, so naturally other people weren't allowed inside. But this person smelled so foul that the security guarding the entrance couldn't bear it and also ran aside. Thus the person managed to rush all the way inside. The Hunyuan sect disciple wearing thin clothes instantly paled and shouted upon seeing the foul-smelling person rushing towards himself. Stop, don't move, senior brother, I am Huang Xiaochun. The person covered in filth shouted out hoarsely. His eyes were glistening with tears, as if he had suffered some sort of ultimate humiliation. Junior brother, the Hunyuan sect disciple froze in disbelief. How was this his junior brother Huang? Despicable brat, prepare to die. At this time, Manuer's momentum surged upon hearing the name, Huang Xiaochun, and attacked without another word. A pink silk cloth full of true energy lashed towards Huang Xiaochun. Manuer, don't get too ahead of yourself. As if I will let you kill one of my fellow Hunyuan sect disciples. Li Haoran stepped forth to shield Huang Xiaochun, but he didn't dare step too close. Junior brother, what happened to you? Li Haoran asked. Upon seeing his senior brother ask that, the grievances within his heart burst forth like a never-ending river. Senior brother, I was ambushed by someone. Huang Xiaochun began wailing, then started explaining all the tragic happenings that had occurred to him. Huang Xiaochun initially had thought he could obtain a treasure, but ended up being ambushed. When he woke up, he realized he was tied up and his entire body was numb and powerless. Huang Xiaochun wanted to struggle but couldn't muster any strength. Then an unfortunate situation happened. As Huang Xiaochun was struggling, he ended up accidentally falling into the feces pool. With his hands and feet tied up, the powerless Huang Xiaochun even ended up swallowing a few mouthfuls of waste products but was unable to climb up. If a person hadn't happened to be passing by and used a pole to lift him out, he would have. Huang Xiaochun couldn't bear to continue on any further. Senior brother, you have to avenge me. Otherwise, I can't live on anymore. Huang Xiaochun was dreadfully pained as tears streamed down his face. Li Haoran was serious. This was his junior brother Huang's first time outside the sect, and he had encountered this sort of situation. Just how would his junior brother Huang view the world from now on? No, as his senior brother I must avenge him. Junior brother, who did this to you? Do you know him? Li Haoran asked. Senior brother, I don't know his name, but he is tall and skinny. He was cleanly shaven, his appearance average. Also, he stole my invitation. Huang Xiaochun shouted out tearfully. Manuer's expression changed. It seemed that that person had impersonated Huang Xiaochun. Ah! Someone help, thief! At this moment, screams sounded out from within many rooms, startling everyone outside. Lin Fan had long secretly retreated by then. No matter what had occurred inside, he had retreated without a single look back. It would become dangerous if he stayed any longer. N.O.V.L.B. in .C. Ohm. He had stolen from a few sect leaders, and then even Huang Xiaochun arrived. If he were caught, then it wouldn't be something as simple as a beating. He would most likely end up being sliced and diced into pieces. Chapter 72, Explaining Future Plans. Chapter 72, Explaining Future Plans. Lin Fan wasn't too satisfied with the operation at Moonwhisk Tower. He wanted to save more people, but due to certain circumstances, he just couldn't do that at the moment. Those sect leaders in charge of the black gold coins all had higher cultivation bases than himself. There was no way he could fight them openly. Thus, he could only sit and wait in stealth mode and attack one by one. Although the results were unsatisfactory, he had really done his best. As for what would happen at the auction from now on, he couldn't do anything about it. After returning to the school, Lin Fan immediately went back into his room and took out all the medicinal pills he had taken in the passing and piled them onto the table. These medicinal pills couldn't compare to the ones he had looted from the Yan Emperor, but they could still provide quite a bit of experience. After swallowing all the medicinal pills, his experience grew by around 500,000. It wasn't too much, but for those sect leaders that came for the auction, it was quite a large sum. So they were most likely crying out in pain right now. The more he knew, the greater sense of crisis he felt in his heart. His cultivation base couldn't be leveled quickly anymore, but his martial skills could still perhaps be. If he really needed to avoid a battle, he could only rely on Dragon King Hegemony and the legendary 9-5 red brick. After obtaining the system, the benefits were infinite, but Lin Fan was pained by the fact that mental skill leveling wasn't coherent with strength, and could only be raised with one's true energy. As Lin Fan cultivated Dragon King Hegemony, a special sense of energy circulated throughout his body. Dragon King Hegemony was the Yan Emperor's personal tactic skill. The category was quite good, a lower heaven class, and raising it to level 9 could double his power. Light class tactics cultivated to the maximum could only increase one's power by 20%. The dark class could increase it by 40%, and earth class by 60%. As Lin Fan was cultivating Dragon King Hegemony, the unique energy enveloped his entire body and a dragon-shaped energy gradually immersed itself into his body. Ding! Congratulations lower heaven class tactics, Dragon King Hegemony, experience plus 100. Ding! Congratulations lower heaven class tactics, Dragon King Hegemony, experience plus 100. The experience began to increase slowly. The next day, Lin Fan opened his eyes, a golden light flashed before his eyes. After a night of cultivating, Dragon King Hegemony's experience had grown quite a bit. Lin Fan washed up and rushed towards his class. Today, he was preparing to give his students some equipment. It was very difficult to obtain a good weapon within the Great Yan dynasty. It wasn't something an ordinary person could obtain. Aside from Xiao's, who had the support of his family and had a good weapon, the others were in a difficult position. If he, their teacher, didn't give them some benefits, then it was likely they wouldn't be able to obtain a somewhat decent weapon till they reached the post-celestial stage. Lin Fan came to his class and looked around. They were all sitting down properly while waiting for him. Lin Fan nodded his head happily. Although more people meant it would be harder for him, he still believed that his own capabilities were top-notched. These rascals were unlikely to cause a ruckus in his presence. If they did anything wrong, his ruler of love would be no joke. Teacher, good morning. The moment the students saw their teacher enter, they all stood up and greeted him with utmost sincerity. Although Xiao's and Zhang Tianao were still new students, they also became acquainted with the routine under the guidance of the other students. Good, Lin Fan nodded in satisfaction. Good, you are all very good. Your cultivation base is increased yet again. I am very pleased. Lin Fan saw that his students' cultivation bases had risen once again. Lu Shuishui and the rest were all initially level 1 Precelestials, but now, they were level 2 Precelestials, and Titanium Grade Demon Body had also went from level 1 to level 2. Shui Mo also did quite well. He was a level 3 Precelestial already, and his Titanium Grade Demon Body was also level 3. The Saint Devil sects, titanium-grade demon body, could only be raised to level 3. They had worked hard and suffered beatings to increase their experience. The first 3 levels were quite easy and reachable, but the remaining 3 levels after that needed more effort. It's all thanks to teachers' lessons. Lu Shui, being the only girl in class, was naturally very sweet, and praised Lin Fan till he was very happy. Good, very good. Lin Fan nodded his head in satisfaction, then patted their heads one by one. Encouraging hand raised their abilities. Their abilities were all low originally, but with his efforts, their abilities all turned from idiotic to mediocre. After this wave of encouragement, their abilities should already have reached the genius level. The genius level wasn't that great, but with hard work and dedication, reaching post-celestial stage shouldn't be too much of a problem. If they were lucky enough, even paracelestial wouldn't be impossible. Just that wanting to reach paracelestial stage with genius level abilities required effort and support beyond the imaginable level. Xiao's watched as Lin Fan patted the other students' heads. He was very confused and didn't understand what was happening, and this was something only he felt. Teacher Lin, yesterday's lesson made me gain many insights. After a night's thinking, I came to realize a lot of things. Xiao's was beginning to really believe in Lin Fan's skills. Just one small story alone had made him gain such great insights. This was something Xiao's had never experienced before. Lin Fan looked at Xiao's and nodded happily. Xiao's was indeed very perceptive. Then, he smiled and extended his hand. I am very pleased that you could think like this. From now on, don't act too arrogantly. There are many people in this world, and the amount of geniuses in the world are numerous in reality. Lin Fan wasn't worried too much about Xiao's. His family background was good, his abilities were good, and his cultivation base was decent. His only negative point was his very unfriendly demeanor. If he were to go out in the future, he would definitely be hacked to death. Yes, I will never forget teacher's words. Xiao's nodded his head seriously. After yesterday's incident, Xiao's realized that this teacher was indeed very powerful. His each word contained many profound truths. To be able to fully comprehend these truths, one needed to spend some time to actually think them over. Otherwise, it was unlikely that one would actually understand their real meanings. As Lin Fan placed his hand on Xiaozi's head, the latter was suddenly amazed as he realized many things flood into his mind that he didn't previously know. Xiao's also realized in horror that his own abilities were also beginning to increase. Xiao's was a level 6 post-celestial, so he naturally knew more than most other people, especially regarding the concept of abilities. Although he wasn't the top in terms of abilities, he could still be considered as a person with genius-level abilities. But now, his abilities were rising once again. This. Xiao's didn't dare to think anymore. He knew instantly that everything that had occurred was due to the teacher in front of him. Teacher, don't speak, remain calm. Lin Fan said indifferently. He knew he wouldn't be staying at the Sky Heaven School for too long, so he wanted to leave behind what he could. Xiaozi's abilities were quite good, but the education he could receive in the Sky Heaven School was limited. No matter what, since Xiao's had sought discipleship from him, he would give him whatever he could provide. Once a person's mind was developed, it would become difficult to change. Since Xiaozi's personality was very prideful, he decided to empower him with the skills, Faceless Sky Devil, and Titanium-grade Demon Body. Lin Fan retracted his hand, then he looked at everyone while looking indifferent. I will be leaving soon in the upcoming days. The skills I have transferred to you all today, remember, do not tell anyone else about them, even if they are someone close to you. If anything were to happen, I would not be able to save you at the time. The skills he had transferred over were the ones he had stolen from Mo Yizan and Ni Mansion. If word got out, he would be fine, but his students would likely be butchered. The students were shocked upon hearing that their teacher would be leaving. They asked with voices full of unwillingness, Teacher, you are seriously leaving? When will you be back? Chapter 73, The Auction Truly Begins. Chapter 73, The Auction Truly Begins. Lin Fan hadn't been with the students for too long, but he treated them as if they were his real students. Their sadness was genuine, but he didn't know how to answer them. If the Yan Emperor and other sects were really planning on attacking the Saint Devil sect, then Lin Fan wouldn't sit idly and do nothing. A person who entered the sect was forever a sect member. Even though he faked his death and sneaked out, he was still part of the sect. His fellow sect brothers were quite nice to him, and Lin Fan long treated them all as a part of a big family. If his big family had troubles, he wouldn't be scared off and run. Lin Fan had to go inform his fellow Saint Devil sect brothers and have them return to inform the sect to prepare and not be caught off guard. As Lin Fan looked at the sad students, he smiled, don't overthink it. I just have some matters to attend to. You all just have to continue training. When I return in the future, I will be checking your results. Yes, teacher. Lu Shui and the rest nodded. They didn't know what kind of matters their teacher had, but they believed their teacher would be fine. Their teacher was very powerful after all. They all had a crazy amount of trust in Lin Fan. Alright, remember now, don't tell anyone about the skills I transferred to you all today, understood? Lin Fan repeatedly warned them. Yes, we will never tell anyone. The usually quiet Cao Tianzhao nodded his head heavily. They weren't idiots. Since their teacher had warned them so cautiously, it must be naturally very important. Since their teacher had transferred these skills that couldn't be known by others, he must have a great amount of trust in them. Based on the students' personalities, Lin Fan transferred either the upper heaven class mental skills, Faceless Sky Devil, or Will of the Sword, to them. For them, cultivating these two heaven class mental skills naturally had many more advantages than they thought. With the increase of their mental level, their cultivation base would also rise. Raising their own individual mental skills could only increase their true energy and combat ability, but not their cultivation base. With the supplementation of these heaven-class mental skills, as long as nothing happened in the future, their achievements wouldn't be lower than anyone else. But their future path could only be forged by themselves. While Lin Fan usually didn't take anything to mind, this time he was quite serious, and could only take things one step at a time and improvise. Lin Fan then took out all the weapons he had finished forging previously and split them all between them. Although they were only lower-graded weapons, to them it was more than enough. Higher-graded weapons would only attract more jealousy and misfortune. Xiao's, come with me for a minute. After finishing everything, Lin Fan called out Xiao's alone. Teacher. Xiao's came from a great family, so he had many experiences. Although his teacher appeared normal, he could sense the unease within his teacher. Xiao's had long accepted his teacher as a powerful person. But now, his teacher was uneasy, so he wondered what kind of situation could make him be so. This was something beyond Xiao's imagination. November LBJNN. Xiao's, you are the strongest in this class, and also have the highest social position. When I leave, you have to take care of your fellow brothers and sister. If possible, I would like you to teach some of your family's martial skills to your fellow brothers and sister. It would help in their future path in cultivation, and in that way, my efforts wouldn't be in vain. Lin Fan said. Teacher, is there something that is about to happen? If possible, you can tell everyone. The Xiao family might not be the very top within the Yan dynasty, but we can still do many things. Everyone here is willing to follow teacher through the perils and hardships without any hesitation. Xiao said. No, it's fine, I will take care of it by myself. You just be sure to take care of everyone, that alone will be the greatest help towards me. Lin Fan said. Yes, Xiao's nodded. Tell everyone to train by themselves for today. I have other matters to attend to. Lin Fan gave his instructions and then quietly left. After returning to his room, Lin Fan continued his cultivation without any breaks. He had to raise Dragon King Hegemony to level 2 no matter what. At this point, Lin Fan wished a huge pile of medicinal pills could just fall from the heavens and help boost his cultivation base up like crazy, because if this fight were to really start up, his cultivation base only would be like a small boat on a lake, unable to make any major waves. The next day, the Heaven and Earth Commerce Markets auction officially begins. The leading members of each sect and their disciples prepared for admission. The lesser celestial pills were very alluring for them, and many sects were planning on buying them to analyze their components. If they couldn't figure it out, they would just give them to their disciples to eat. To use the useless black gold coin as the currency for the auction was a very good deal for them all. Training one disciple alone to the lesser celestial stage required an immeasurable amount of resources. Compared to that, everyone understood just how cost-effective the lesser celestial pills were. Lin Fan hid among the crowds and gave a sigh as he watched the sea of people flooding the area. It can't be helped. I have done all I can, but so many sects still came. My efforts were futile, how pointless. Lin Fan was wearing a self-made mask on his face, just in case he ran into last night's manure from the Infinite Flower sect. Look, those are the Infinite Flower sect disciples, they are so beautiful. A commotion suddenly occurred in the crowd. Top-quality women were popular no matter where they went. Thus, when the Infinite Flower sect disciples appeared, they attracted the attention of many people. The Infinite Flower sect disciples cultivated charming skills, so their allure was very great. Even the disciples of powerful sects couldn't necessarily resist them, let alone ordinary citizens. Lin Fan stood in the crowd as the various sect disciples continuously headed inside the commerce market. Lin Fan was very confused, as from beginning to the end, he still hadn't seen any disciples from the Saint Devil sect. This was far too strange. Did something perhaps happen? Then Lin Fan shook his head and entered the commerce market while feeling a bit uneasy. The Heaven and Earth commerce market were using black gold coins as the admission fee for this auction. Naturally, ordinary citizens didn't have these types of coins, and thus they couldn't enter even though they wanted to watch the auction. Because Lin Fan was just an average person, he could only sit at the very back while the various sect disciples sat in the upper areas. Each sect took up an area and the place soon became divided. At this time, a middle-aged auctioneer wearing blue robes walked onto the stage. Lin Fan glanced at him. 8th level post-celestial. He was strong, just 2 levels away from paracelestial. The people within the Heaven and Earth commerce market couldn't be taken too lightly. Just the auctioneer alone was already stronger than most sect disciples present. Welcome everyone from all over the world. We will officially be starting the auction now. The first item for auction will be the upper dark class, Blue Soul Pill. The auction officially began with the announcement by the auctioneer. For all the sects, this operation's main target was the lesser celestial pills. The other items were of minor importance, and were there just for auction for the average disciples to help set the mood. Rate Transla. Chapter 74. Ancient God Pills are naturally not the same. Chapter 74. Ancient God Pills are naturally not the same. Although the start of the auction was somewhat passionate, they were all just minor scuffles. Since the lesser celestial pills hadn't appeared yet, everyone still wasn't going all out. Lin Fan sat down and glanced around. Today's auction wasn't something simple, and a situation was bound to occur. Lin Fan had switched seats to one near the aisles during the auctioning. If anything were to happen, then he would immediately run. The Saint Devil sect disciples had already arrived in the city, but now they were nowhere to be seen. Something had happened obviously. It was highly unlikely they were all still sleeping, as they had come all this way for the lesser celestial pills and now were nowhere to be found. Alright, the next item will be the highlight of this auction. At this moment, the various sect leaders perked up. The lesser celestial pill was finally up, and everyone began rolling up their sleeves in preparation for the upcoming battle. November LBJNN. Lin Fan sat in his seat frowning. It seemed they had already figured out he had stolen the lesser celestial pills and swapped them with another rip-off type of pills. The lesser celestial pills are items from the ancient times that the Heaven and Earth commerce market managed to obtain. Each one is incredibly valuable, and even those with low cultivation bases can instantly jump into the lesser celestial stage after eating one. Now, let us see the true appearance of the lesser celestial pills. The auctioneer shouted out in excitement. After all, this was a momentous occasion. The various sect disciples around the venue were all hooked, their eyes staring directly at the items on the stage. The auctioneer smiled, and opened the decorated case, then looked towards the ensnarled sect disciples and excitedly proclaimed, "Everyone, behold the lesser celestial pills." At that moment, the sect disciples who saw the true appearance of the lesser celestial pill all gave a gasp. What kind of a lesser celestial pill is this? Lin Fan was initially curious, but upon seeing the lesser celestial pills on stage, he suddenly stood up dumbfounded. Wasn't this the FC King dump he took in the box? How was it still there? Didn't the people of the Heaven and Earth commerce market check the item before the auction began? The auctioneer became even further excited upon hearing everyone's gasps. Everyone, behold, these are the lesser celestial pills derived from the ancient times. Priceless treasures, they are truly priceless. Now then, let's start the bidding. The auctioneer shouted, but when he glanced at the lesser celestial pills, he suddenly froze. What was this thing that looked like some sort of coiled-up snake? This is. The auctioneer smelled an odor and his expression suddenly changed, but when he saw the sect disciples' suspicious expressions, he clenched his teeth down in silence. The auction has begun. The starting bid will be 100 million black gold coins. The auctioneer decided to go all out. He was certain this wasn't the lesser celestial pill because he had been holding on to them. But now all of a sudden, they had somehow turned into this thing. Thus, he didn't care anymore. He couldn't afford any mistakes. Otherwise, it would mean his death. As soon as the auctioneer stopped speaking, the entire venue burst into an uproar. The various sects began discussing among themselves. This strangely shaped thing, is it perhaps really the lesser celestial pill? I don't think so. It doesn't have any trace of energy circulation within it. And just look at the thing. Its surface doesn't have any shine to it, and it seems a bit hardened. It's quite difficult to imagine it as the so-called legendary God pill. Why does it look like a pile of crap to me? Hey, don't talk rubbish. This is the heaven and earth commerce market, they would never bring out a pile of crap for auctioning. Perhaps the pills from the ancient times are just different from ours. Hard to say, hard to say. I had some doubts when I saw it. What do you lot understand? How can you understand the concept of a godly pill? If it was that easy to understand, would it still be called a god pill? ... Lin Fan secretly listened in on the surrounding discussions, the corner of his mouth twisting into a smile. He felt very amused, who would have thought they would bring out his pile of crap for auctioning? And judging from the auctioneer's face, he was trying to pretend it was real and treat it as the lesser celestial pill up for auction. But, he just didn't know what would happen next. Everyone, please listen to me. This is an item from the ancient times, so naturally it appears strange. It's reasonable for it not to have any energy circulation flowing from it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have lasted up till now. If you don't believe me, we can choose someone from the venue to test it out. Then we will all know if it's real or not. Of course, this godly pill can boost one into the lesser celestial stage, but since we will just be slicing a thin piece off, it won't be able to permanently raise your cultivation base. But still, it should temporarily boost your cultivation base. The auctioneer at this point was just making it up as he spoke. He actually didn't know what would happen, or why the lesser celestial pill had turned into this thing. But he knew one thing for sure. This was a pile of crap, and although he didn't know who the owner of the pile of crap was, he would definitely capture them after this was all over. No, there was actually no need to capture them, since they most likely consumed those pills they probably exploded and died. The person over there, please come onto the stage. The auctioneer pointed to a person near the stage. The person walked onto the stage without any expression and glanced at the auctioneer while slightly nodding. Everyone, please watch carefully now. We will now see if it's real or not. The auctioneer said. He picked up a tool from the side and lightly scraped the surface. A pungent odor assaulted his nose, causing the auctioneer to gag and his eyes to water. The person on stage looked coldly at everyone in the venue and then received the thing from the auctioneer, then swallowed it without any hesitation. Lin Fan's heart was pounding rapidly as he sat there. Who was this guy? How did he swallow that thing without any reaction? This was far too presumptuous. Currently, all the sect disciples were staring straight at the person who swallowed the pill. They wanted to see if there were any effects. If there were, then no matter what, they would do all they could to obtain this pill. At this time, Lin Fan was surprised. The auctioneer had quietly retreated and had disappeared off the stage. Lin Fan had a bad feeling, and instantly rose while entering stealth mode. But he realized at that point that the entrance was closed, and the doors were glowing with a sort of strange runes while sending out bursts of light, as if it were some kind of formation. The entire venue appeared like it had been sealed. Hey, what is happening to the person? All the various sect disciples were in shock as the person had suddenly started swelling. Was there something up with the pill? The person who had gone up to experiment was swelling up currently, and plumes of red smoke overflowed from his body, as if he would explode at any time. Lin Fan began running without any hesitation and looked for cover. Bam! Not long after, Lin Fan heard sounds of uproar coming from the venue as if something had happened. Lin Fan continued running straight ahead while in stealth mode until he reached the very end. He didn't know what was going on, but it definitely wasn't anything good. This was really all too strange. Just what was the Yan Emperor planning? Dangerous, it was far too dangerous. Lin Fan felt terror for the first time. My God, I want to go home. I don't want to hang around outside anymore. The outside world is far too dangerous. Chapter 75. I will make you cry. Chapter 75. I will make you cry. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Fan returned to the auction room and was stunned on seeing the scene in front of him. Just what had happened? Earlier, many people were going in and out within the auction room, but he didn't see any sect disciples right now, as if the previous chaotic venue from earlier didn't even exist. Where did all those thousands of sect disciples go, and what was up with that previous uproar? The current venue was completely orderly, as if nothing had happened. Lin Fan had many questions. I have to leave, I must leave. There is something going on in the Great Yan dynasty, the Yan Emperor is plotting something. The thousands of people had just suddenly disappeared. Other than the Yan Emperor, who else had such capabilities? Lin Fan immediately entered stealth mode. He didn't return to the school and didn't call out to anyone. He had to return to his sect to report this incident. Adding in what just happened, Lin Fan was certain that the Saint Devil sect disciples that had come to Great Yan dynasty had likely been done in by the Yan Emperor. This was a massive conspiracy, a plot that had been in the works for a long time. He was level 6 post-celestial now, but in the face of the Yan Emperor, that meant nothing. If he had superior power, he would have long given the Yan Emperor a brutal beating to put him in place. This was the first time Lin Fan had such an urge for more power. When he came to the city's entrance, there were more soldiers there than usual. At the same time, the inspection for exiting the city seemed even more strict than usual. But luckily, Lin Fan was in stealth mode, so he naturally passed through the inspection easily. After exiting the city, he looked back. My students, I will definitely return. Lin Fan was focused on two matters currently. One was to return to the sect and inform them of the Yan Emperor's plot, and the other was to properly train his students. Since the sect was in danger, he had to return quickly. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to come back in the future. But he had given them everything he could already, so he could only hope that they would work hard, and they would meet again in the future if fate allowed it. 3 days later, Lin Fan used psychedelic body the entire way, causing the skill to level 20, and advance into Phantom Mirage. Roar. At this time, the resting Lin Fan was about to rise to continue his way when he heard a deafening roar which startled him. A wild beast. It was an extremely fierce roar of a wild beast. After a moment's hesitation, Lin Fan headed towards the source of the sound. The roar was able to rattle his mind. He didn't know what kind of wild beast it was, but he was certain it was very powerful. But as Lin Fan drew near, the scene he saw shocked him. A single horn, the horn burning with a black fire, the body enormous, it was a very powerful-looking burning rhino. Lin Fan had seen it before in the Saint Devil Sect's manual. This was an extremely fierce wild beast, and one of the fiercest species among the wild beasts. The burning rhino generally traveled alone and never in groups, but there were two of them unexpectedly. Also from the looks of them, the two burning rhinos seemed friendly with each other, and were currently communicating with each other through roars. Lin Fan checked and found that the two burning rhinos were both level 2 paracelestials, so their strength was clearly phenomenal. Lin Fan was hesitant. If he could kill these two burning rhinos, his level should rise quite a lot. To him, they were essentially two boss wild beasts. Lin Fan wasn't planning on fighting the two directly, he couldn't even defeat one burning rhino let alone two. If he were to just stand out, these two burning rhinos would burn him into oblivion. The black fire the burning rhinos had on their horns wasn't there for show. They were the natural flames carried by the burning rhinoceros species. Even if a level 2 paracelestial martial artist were to be touched by the black fire, they would be reduced to ashes. Lin Fan currently couldn't do anything to these two burning rhinos and could only watch. So he felt it perhaps might be better to just leave. He was close to the sect already. Just 2 more days of rushing and he should be able to reach the Saint Devil Sect's territory. Lin Fan began to leave but then suddenly heard a roar. Lin Fan held his breath and realized the two burning rhinos were once again communicating. Based on the current time, perhaps the communication between the two burning rhinos was like this. It's noon, we should eat lunch soon. Go find some food. Why don't you go? I am telling you to go. What, do you have a problem with that? N-O-V-E in .c ohm. ... Of course, these were just Lin Fan's own imaginations. Whether they were accurate or not was another story. As one burning rhino began leaving, Lin Fan had an idea. With this situation, he could perhaps give it a try. Lin Fan entered stealth mode and using the advanced Phantom Mirage, he quietly crept near the burning rhino lying on the ground resting. In that instant, the burning rhino suddenly roared out loudly as it had sensed movements in the surroundings. But when it looked around with its huge eyes and didn't see anything, it lied back down again and continued resting. Lin Fan nervously sighed in relief. As expected, the wild beast had keen senses. His energy was completely concealed, but he still ended up being detected. Wild beasts surely lived up to their names with their senses being much better than humans. As Lin Fan drew near the burning rhino, he took out his legendary weapon and smacked it down on its head. After seeing the huge wild beast faint, Lin Fan smiled and took out Ni Mansion's middle dark class, Purple Frost Sword. This was the first time he had used it, but he didn't expect it would be so handy for this situation. The burning rhino had very thick skin, so perhaps any weapon under dark class wouldn't be able to break through its defenses. As Lin Fan was preparing to attack, he suddenly remembered that within the burning rhinoceros species were many males but few females. Also burning rhinoceros were naturally impulsive, so when they met a female counterpart, they would become crazy and do everything they could to make them cry. If he were to kill this burning rhino right now, it would eliminate one of them, but when the other one came back and saw this, it would perhaps be troublesome. And wasting resources was not Lin Fan's style. Lin Fan clenched his fist. Maybe he could do a gamble. His eyes lit up suddenly as he reached out one hand like a dragon heading out to sea, quick and precise. The elements of yin and yang began to reverse, twisting heaven and earth. For Lin Fan, twisting heaven and earth could reverse anything in the world. So naturally, this burning rhino wasn't an exception. Ding, congratulations, twisting heaven and earth, experience plus 30,000. After one move, Lin Fan didn't continue exploiting the experience gain for twisting heaven and earth anymore and immediately hid. As expected, the other burning rhino soon came back with a dead wild beast in its mouth. Lin Fan hid in the shadows and observed, waiting for the prime opportunity. Unexpectedly, the other burning rhino did actually end up finding food. The burning rhino carrying the food walked slowly, but when it saw its companion collapsed on the ground and standing up groggily, it froze. The food in its mouth dropped to the ground and its original cloudy eyes lit up with a raging fire, as if it had discovered a new world of excitement. The burning rhino that had its yin and yang reversed by Lin Fan shook its head while standing up. It was confused and suspicious about what had just happened, but when it saw its companion carrying the food back and then dropping it to the ground, it roared out in anger. But at this time, it realized something strange. Its companion was drooling from the mouth and the thing underneath was completely rigid. At the same time, the eyes were glowing red as if it were about to do something. Roar! The burning rhino who had brought the food back roared out crazily and began rushing over without any care. The confused burning rhino who still hadn't realized it had been turned from a male to female was then ridden on from behind by its companion. It cried out and kicked out angrily, then roared out several times in rage. Lin Fan, who was hiding, watched happily as the two burning rhinos began roaring at each other while thinking, hurry up and fight. As the two burning rhinos began communicating through roars, Lin Fan began imagining what they were saying in his mind. Don't move, I want to make you cry, I want you to have my baby. Get lost, what are you talking about? We are just friends. I'll make you cry, I'll make you cry. The sky darkened, dust blew about and the earth began splitting as wild instincts took over. The bonds of friendship became shattered as the story of broken trust between friends occurred between the wild beasts. Chapter 76, Leveling Like Crazy. Chapter 76, Leveling Like Crazy. Lin Fan held his breath and observed the situation, preparing to strike whenever the opportunity presented itself. The male burning rhino was trying to conquer the female one and trying to suppress it while the burning rhino that had its gender changed was resisting ferociously. It couldn't allow its opponent to succeed as it was a male burning rhino, and wondered what in the world was wrong with its companion. The fight became ever so fiercer as the bodies of the two burning rhino became increasingly scuffled. The burning rhino that had its gender changed was currently being dominated by the other and it wouldn't be long when it would suffer its greatest pain. Lin Fan waited, his heart edging them to hurry up. He had been waiting for the most critical moment where he could take down both the burning rhinos at once. At this moment, the female burning rhino gave a cry as its hind legs bent while the male burning rhino rode on top of it. The male burning rhino was injured, but it still reigned supreme and fought ferociously, its huge body now moving back and forth as it reached the realm of ecstasy. Arg! The male burning rhino roared out as its originally violent face revealed a human-like expression of pleasure. The opportunity had arrived. Lin Fan didn't focus on any other matter, his movements swift as he was in stealth mode. The legendary brick in his hand whirled as he smacked it over the heads of the two burning rhinos. The male burning rhino still immersed in pleasure was thus knocked out before it could even react. The two burning rhinos laid there motionlessly as Lin Fan smiled. As expected, he had succeeded. Stealth mode, twisting heaven and earth, and the legendary brick, the three were indispensable. Lin Fan took out the purple frost sword and took the lives of the two burning rhinos. It was nearing night time, and Lin Fan didn't want to stay for too long in case something else happened. He was lucky here, so he didn't want to push his luck out any further. He had to leave. Ding, congratulations on defeating level 2 Paracelestial Wild Beast, Burning Rhinoceros, experience plus 10 million. Ding, dropped Burning Rhinoceros Life Essence. Burning Rhinoceros Life Essence. Upon consumption will enter rage mode, obtaining the natural flames of the burning rhinoceros, pitch black fire, side effects unknown. Ding, congratulations on defeating level 2 Paracelestial Wild Beast, Burning Rhinoceros, experience plus 10 million. Ding, dropped Burning Rhinoceros Life Essence. Ding, congratulations, cultivation base level up. Ding, congratulations, cultivation base level up. Ding, congratulations, cultivation base level up. The series of notifications surprised Lin Fan. Lin Fan opened his data panel. He had risen by 3 levels, and his cultivation base was currently at level 9 post-celestial. Ding, cultivation base entered bottleneck, 100 million experience needed to level up. Since his cultivation base was currently at a level 9 post-celestial, the next step would be paracelestial stage. Because he had a system, his bottleneck wasn't as crazy as other people, but the 100 million experience was still an astronomical number. It seemed that more effort would be needed if he wanted to enter paracelestial stage. The burning rhino was a wild beast among wild beasts. Once a burning rhino entered rage mode, it would fight its opponent to death, possibly due to their violent nature. Lin Fan looked at the 2 bright red life essences in his bag. They would likely come handy in the future, but he hoped he wouldn't have to use them. Currently, a scent of blood was engulfing the area. Lin Fan didn't stay any longer and continued on his way with his skill. He could only hope to safely arrive at the sect and report the Yan Emperor's plot to the sect head. He traveled through the night and rested whenever he became tired. Once his true energy recovered, he would then continue. Along the way Lin Fan had encountered many wild beasts, but he ignored them all, not wanting to waste any more time. Unless he met a strong enough wild beast, Lin Fan wouldn't even bother with them. He had been extremely lucky to meet the 2 burning rhinos. Paracelestial stage wild beasts usually live deep within the forest, and wanting to meet them on the outskirts would depend on one's luck. 2 days later, Lin Fan saw the 9 towering mountain peaks. He was looking forward to it a little in his heart, as he would soon reunite with his familiar brothers. He wondered what their reactions would be once they saw his very much alive self. Lin Fan had faked his death only to return alive. It would look dubious, but when he thought about the importance of his report, he decided to pay it no heed. Furthermore, distorting the truth was a specialty of Lin Fan, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. When Lin Fan passed the grave his brothers had dug for him, he stopped. The black stone tombstone was engraved with his name. At the same time, under his name, the names of his senior brothers were listed. Ni Mingyong, Yin Mo Chen. Inside the sect, those 2 had the best relationship with him. No matter what, Lin Fan needed to report the plot of the Yan Emperor to the sect. At the same time, he hoped his fellow brothers could avoid this confrontation. Their cultivation bases were too low, so if the Yan Emperor and other sects were to really attack, they would most likely die. He glanced at the fresh offerings on the ground. It was most likely his senior brothers who had recently come to visit him. As he thought about it, Lin Fan had an urge to cry. The way he had been acting as a human was well earned. He hadn't expected others to still remember him after his death. At the entrance of the Saint Devil sect stairs, 2 outer sect disciples were guarding the entrance at the bottom of the mountain. But at this moment, they saw a person rushing over from afar, so they called out strictly, "Halt, who are you?" "My 2 junior brothers, I am the outer sect disciple, Lin Fan. I have urgent matters that I must report to the sect head. Can I ask you 2 to let me through?" Lin Fan said. "Do you have your emblem?" The 2 people carefully observed Lin Fan, their hearts on high alert. The person was of an unknown origin and he wasn't carrying the Saint Devil sect's emblem for disciples. Lin Fan sighed. It wasn't possible for him to still have the emblem. Then without another word to them, his figure flashed and he directly rushed past them. "Stop." The 2 disciples were shocked upon seeing the person daring to break into the Saint Devil sect. Then they began ringing the large iron bell beside them. Boom! The sound of the bell was loud and clear as it spread throughout the 9 peaks. The outer sect disciples were conducting their daily business, but they became alerted upon hearing the bell sound from the bottom of the mountain. The disciples down the mountain rang the bell. Did something perhaps happen? Everyone was startled. They didn't know what was happening. This was the Saint Devil sect. Did someone actually dare to trespass? Lin Fan continued rushing forth even after hearing the bell. This made things easier as he wouldn't have to go searching for them now. "Trespasser, halt now." Just as Lin Fan arrived at the top of the mountain, a figure crashed down upon himself. "Senior brother, I am on your side." Lin Fan wasn't looking for a fight as he had urgent matters to report to the sect head. 4th level post-celestial. This person was an inner sect disciple. Normally in the Saint Devil sect, upon reaching post-celestial stage one would enter the inner sect. Very few would willingly remain in the outer sect. The inner sect disciple became shocked upon seeing the intruder enduring his sword with his bare flesh, then his momentum surged with a cry. "Trespasser, how dare you barge into the Saint Devil sect? Prepare to die." The inner sect disciple roared out in rage, wanting to slice Lin Fan's hands into pieces. But even though he released his true energy to its maximum, the sword in Lin Fan's hands still didn't budge. "Senior brother, I will help you." The disciples who were watching from the side all began rushing forth upon seeing their senior brother unable to defeat the intruder. "Don't be too presumptuous." Lin Fan was feeling a bit angry now. Yours truly had come all this way to help you all, and this is how you treat your benefactor. Chapter 77, Returning to the Sect. Chapter 77, Returning to the Sect. Everyone stop. Just as Lin Fan was preparing to spar with these fellow brothers, a sound stopping them came from the side. "Is it you, junior brother Lin?" A familiar and nostalgic voice came into Lin Fan's ears. Lin Fan looked over and gave a slight smile. Ni Mingyang was still the same as before, and his cultivation had broken through to the post-celestial stage. Lin Fan remembered that when he left, his senior brother Ni was still only a level 8 Celestial. According to logic, it still required 2 more levels from level 8 Celestial to post-celestial. But unexpectedly, after he left, his senior brother Ni's cultivation base had advanced greatly for some unknown reasons. "Senior brother Ni, is there anyone else that looks like me?" Lin Fan stood there with a smile. Ni Mingyang saw someone he couldn't believe would appear in front of him, and his body was trembling. This feeling that made others want to punch him was something only his junior brother Lin had. "Junior brother Lin, weren't you already? I didn't think I would ever see you again." Ni Mingyang stepped forth tearfully as he grabbed Lin Fan's shoulders. Lin Fan had been personally buried by him and Yin Mo Chen. They were certain Lin Fan had died, but now, he was alive right in front of him. It was surely hard to believe. What was going on? How did his junior brother Lin revive? Everything was confusing to Ni Mingyang, but no matter what, his junior brother Lin had returned safe and sound. To him, that was the greatest blessing. "Junior brother Ni, you know him?" The inner sect disciple beside them asked. "Yes, fellow brothers, this is junior brother Lin, an outer sect disciple of Saint Devil sect. But due to some reasons, he was unable to return till today." Ni Mingyang said. "Oh, if it's one of our own, he should have gone by the rules. But whatever, everyone disperse." The inner sect disciple nodded. He was displeased with how this junior brother had barged into the sect, but since it was a misunderstanding, he decided to let it slide. And judging from the two's expression, it seemed they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Perhaps something had happened to this junior brother and he ended up losing his emblem or something. Among the crowd, Han Lu frowned in obvious disbelief. This guy, wasn't he supposed to be dead? How did he come back? When Lin Fan was accidentally killed, Han Lu had been overjoyed. After all, the said person was very despicable. But now, he had miraculously returned to life. Han Lu was clearly displeased. The gods were blind to allow a scourge like him to continue living. Han Lu had the jade bottle's help, so his cultivation base had been steadily climbing. What took others years to accomplish needed him only a month. His previous cultivation base of level 4 Precelestial had now reached level 8 Precelestial. He was now close to Post-Celestial, and with the help of the jade bottle, Han Lu was positive he could reach Post-Celestial in half a month. As the spectating disciples all dispersed, Ni Mingyang was still in high spirits because his junior brother Lin had come back to life. "Junior brother, I will take you to see junior brother Yin. Ever since you died, it was like he became a whole different person. He locked himself in his room every day to train. Aside from eating times, I never saw him any other time. Also, you have to tell me just what is going on. At that time, you were really dead apparently." Ni Mingyang said. Lin Fan scratched his head in embarrassment. He didn't think his senior brother Yin would become like that due to him. Lin Fan thought about it. It was completely because of him that his senior brother Yin became like that. His senior brother Yin had seen his own junior get accidentally killed, so it was likely he felt guilty of his own weakness. "Senior brother Ni, I also have something I need to tell you all, can you help me with it?" He was only an outer sect disciple, so it would be impossible for him to meet the sect head. Aside from that, Lin Fan was afraid the sect head also wouldn't believe in his words. What, junior brother Lin, are you telling the truth? Inside Yin Mo Chen's room, the two listened to Lin Fan's story and both had an expression of disbelief. The Great Yan dynasty and the other sects were planning to attack the Saint Devil sect. How could this be? The sects in the world had no reason to attack them, so why would they suddenly attack the Saint Devil sect? "Junior brother, did you perhaps mishear it?" Ni Mingyang said. Lin Fan shook his head. "Senior brother, it's the truth. These are all matters I heard with my own ears." Junior brother, the Yan Emperor's cultivation base is very high. You say you heard it yourself. This, even if you go to the sect head, it would be difficult to believe. Ni Mingyang said. Yeah, junior brother, this kind of thing is no joke. When Yin Mo Chen saw his junior brother Lin, he was utterly shocked. To him, it looked like Lin Fan had resurrected. Senior brother, does it look like I am joking? If I didn't hear this myself, I wouldn't have rushed all the way back from the great Yan dynasty. Lin Fan said. Ni Mingyang and Yin Mo Chen were exasperated that Lin Fan had faked his death to escape to the great Yan dynasty to play around. Their junior brother would do anything to accomplish his goal as it seemed. Junior brother, we certainly believe you, but if this is true, then this is really bad. Ni Mingyang said in a grave voice. Senior brother Ni, I want to ask senior brother Meng Yongchong for assistance and take us to see the sect head. Senior brother, you also know that if it was just simply one sect, our sect could definitely handle it. But the critical issue is that it could perhaps be several sects planning to attack us. If we don't inform the sect head, then when that day comes, our sect will be in great trouble. Lin Fan said. Alright, I will take you to senior brother Meng immediately. Ni Mingyang knew how serious the issue was. If it turned out like junior brother Lin said, then it would be truly terrible. Meng Yongchong was an outer sect disciple, but he was, in reality, a fake pig that could eat tigers. His cultivation base was already at level 6 paracelestial, but he still remained in the outer sect. Qingxin Pavilion, the outer sect's most luxurious house, also the place where Meng Yongchong lived. Currently, Meng Yongchong had a soft look in his eyes as he watched his junior sister practicing her sword skills in the yard. He gradually became more obsessed as he watched. Senior brother, I've mastered the Jinghong swordsmanship you taught me. Mu Chanu's forehead had tiny beads of sweat on it, which appeared very dazzling. Junior sister, you are very talented. You've already mastered this dark class swordsmanship. With more effort in the future, your cultivation base will surely improve. Meng Yongchong said with a smile. Mu Chanu smiled as she watched her senior brother Meng, as a trace of sadness flashed through her eyes. Senior brother, I would like to go see the outside world. Can you take me? Mu Chanu said. Meng Yongchong was slightly surprised, his composed heart wavering. This was the first time his junior sister had asked him to go with her to visit the outside world. Mu Chanu was an outer sect disciple, so she couldn't leave sect grounds, but Meng Yongchong was different. He was a major boss hidden within the outer sect disciples, thus taking another outer sect disciple outside was naturally not a problem. Alright, where does junior sister want to go? I will accompany you, Meng Yongchong said lovingly. Ni Mingyang reporting to senior brother Meng. At this moment, Ni Mingyang's voice came from the outside. Mingyang, enter, Meng Yongchong said softly, but when Lin Fan followed Ni Mingyang inside, Meng Yongchong became shocked. You are junior brother. Greetings senior brother, Lin Fan said as he clasped his hands. Senior brother Meng, junior brother Lin wanted to go outside so he faked his death to go play around for a while. Ni Mingyang explained. Meng Yongchong frowned, faked his death. That was impossible, he had been there that day and even personally confirmed it. All signs of life were gone, how could it have been faked? Mingyang, what do you need? Meng Yongchong asked. Senior brother, junior brother Lin has important matters to report to the sect head. Can senior brother please introduce us to the sect head? Ni Mingyang said. If they wanted to see the sect head, only senior brother Meng could help out. Otherwise, it would be impossible to meet the sect head with their status. Chapter 78. Swearing to the Heavens. Chapter 78. Swearing to the Heavens. Junior brother Lin, why do you need to see the Grand Master? Meng Yongchong asked. Although he trusted Lin, he would get blamed even though he was a paracelestial level apprentice if Lin Fan just wanted to talk about something insignificant. Lin Fan may be hard to read, but his power was too insignificant. Something major for him may just be a something minor thing for Meng Yongchong. Currently, this matter should be known by as few people as possible. But Meng Yongchong likes Mu Chanu. If I do not tell him about the matter because of her presence, he will get upset with me. Senior brother, during the time I faked my death and left the sect, I lived in the Great Yan dynasty. Coincidentally, I heard that the Yan Emperor is planning to work with some other sects to attack our sect. So I came back immediately to warn the Grand Master. Lin Fan did not keep any secret. Mu Chanu's facial expression changed a little. Some light flashed in her eyes, but was hidden immediately. Impossible. The Yan Emperor is only level 7 paracelestial. Even he got 10 more pairs of balls, he would not do this. He cannot endure the consequences. Meng Yongchong heard it but did not believe it. The Great Yan dynasty relied on Saint Devil sect for hundreds of years. In his opinion, it did not have the ability to rebel against Saint Devil sect. Although the Great Yan dynasty had the Sky Heaven School, Meng Yongchong thought that the school was vulnerable. The headmaster, who was the strongest in the school, was just at the paracelestial level. Those students posed even less of a threat. This kind of matter is not trustworthy to report to the Grand Master. If this is a joke, it will be fine for me to see you get punished, but do not drag Meng Yongchong into this. Mu Chanu looked at Lin Fan with scorn. Although the Yan Emperor is only a paracelestial, you are just an outer sect disciple. It is impossible for you to conduct eavesdropping on him. Junior brother, this joke is not funny. Meng Yongchong shook his head. At this time, Lin Fan gets anxious. Why did he not believe him? However, if he put himself into Meng Yongchong's shoes, he could understand why he could not believe him. However, why did they think the Yan Emperor was just at the paracelestial level? He had reached the lesser celestial level now. Ni Yangming stood aside and had no way to join the conversation. He did believe Lin Fan, but he had not heard the intel himself. It was also true that it was impossible for Lin Fan to conduct eavesdropping on the Yan Emperor. November LBJNN. Senior brother, it is true. I swear to the heavens. If what I said is fake, I will die by being struck by heavenly lightning. Lin Fan said solemnly. During the time Lin Fan was traveling back to Saint Devil sect, Lin Fan was not sure if the Emperor had started to take actions or not. The time was limited, and he needed to warn the sect to be prepared. It was better than realizing it when the enemy would have arrived. Meng Yongchong looked at Lin Fan's face and was a bit surprised. If it were true, it would be a true disaster. Meng, if this is true, will the sect move away? Lin Fan asked. No, Meng Yongchong answered. Saint Devil sect has existed for a long time. Even if a catastrophic event happened, we have to defend the sect at all cost. We will live if the sect lives, we will die if the sect dies. Senior brother, if this is fake, no one will be harmed. However, what I said is true. If you let me see the Grand Master, I will show evidence to convince our Grand Master. Lin Fan spoke seriously. Meng Yongchong thought for a while, staring at Lin Fan and wishing to judge his real thoughts. Lin Fan stared back fearlessly. He did not want to lose his only home in this new world. Although Lin Fan was just an outer sect disciple, so what? If the sect were in trouble, even a servant would help. If one kept oneself away from trouble, was one still a man? Senior brother, what are you thinking? This sounds like a rumor. Mu Chanu said hurriedly. Meng Yongchong always responded to her demands. He always listened to her. Junior brother, I will bring you to the Grand Master. Meng Yongchong said after thinking for a while. Senior brother, why do you believe them? Mu Chanu said with an unpleasant tone, but a glimpse of worry flashed in her eyes. I believe Lin Fan will not make this kind of a joke. If this is true and it is not reported, it will cause a huge disaster. Meng Yongchong said solemnly. Lin Fan and Ni Mingyang were extremely happy. Thank you for believing us, brother Meng. You and I belong to the same sect. I should not doubt you, and this is too important. I have to be cautious. I wish it is fake, but if it is true, it will be a nightmare for our sect. Meng Yongchong said with conflicted feelings. I wish so too, but I heard it with my own ears. Lin Fan said. Let's go, Meng Yongchong said. Mu Chanu saw Meng Yongchong believing them, hence got upset and left in a flurry. When she got outside, her facial expressions changed. How does an outer sect disciple know this kind of intel? The 9th mountain was surrounded by the other 8 mountains. It was high up in the clouds, the place where the Grand Master lived. The 9th mountain hid in the clouds, and was way more marvelous compared to the other 8 mountains. White cranes were flying over, and it just seemed like heaven. There was also a great palace hidden in there. It was marvelous, beautiful, holy, and mysterious. Outer sect disciples were not allowed to enter the 9th mountain. Even inner sect disciples would be checked based on their seniority. However, Meng Yongchong was leading the way, so the process was easier. When Lin Fan saw the surroundings clearly, he was shocked by the beauty. This was the core of Saint Devil sect. If this great place were ruined by others, it would surely be a pity. Yongchong, why do you bring these 2 outer sect disciples here? A man wearing gray clothes asked seriously. Level 8 Paracelestial. This guy's power was level 8 Paracelestial. He was much stronger than Meng Yongchong. He was a middle-aged man, but still looked older when compared with Meng Yongchong. His potential was not impressive compared to Brother Meng, as he definitely began training earlier than Brother Meng. Elder Qingfeng, I brought these two here because of something related to the survival of our sect. Meng Yongchong said respectfully. Grand Master is meditating. You can report it to me. Elder Qingfeng said blandly, clearly not believing them. This matter has to be reported to the Grand Master directly. Elder Qingfeng, please allow us. Yongchong, I think you are falling behind. Did you become dumb in the outer sect? Rules are rules. The Grand Master is meditating. You want him to come out of meditation? Elder Qingfeng responded angrily. Elder Qingfeng, this is very important. Meng Yongchong was perturbed, trying to convince the elder. Nothing is more important than Grand Master's meditation. Go back. Elder Qingfeng was angry by now. This Meng Yongchong was an inner sect disciple. He should know the rules. The Grand Master cannot quit his meditation just like that. At this time, the palace of the ninth mountain was right in front of them. However, an elder was blocking their way. If no action were taken, they would not be able to pass. Meng Yongchong was very polite to the elder, so the Grand Master was needed to be forced out somehow. Chapter 79, A Storm is Brewing. Chapter 79, A Storm is Brewing. Outer sect disciple Lin Fan needs to see the Grand Master. Lin Fan shouted as loud as he could. Shut up. Grand Master is meditating. No one is allowed to disturb him, especially a mere outer sect disciple like you. Elder Qingfeng was now losing the little patience left in him. However, Lin Fan had no time to listen to the elder. He knew if he did not see the Grand Master now, he would not be able to see him again. On the side, Meng Yongchong was shocked. He did not think Lin Fan would shout like that. He knew it was forbidden to speak loudly in front of the ninth palace. However, it seemed that it was the only way to get to the Grand Master, especially when this elder was blocking their way. Disciple Meng Yongchong needs to see the Grand Master. This is about the survival of the sect. Meng Yongchong used all his power to shout, sounding like lions and dragons roaring together. Oh geez, senior brother's shouting is powerful. Lin Fan's ears were hurting due to the shout. What Brother Meng used must be an advanced sound martial skill. How dare you shout in front of the palace? Just wait as I catch you for punishment. Elder Qingfeng was out of breath from the rage. His hand was glowing with green light, trying to catch Meng Yongchong. This hand was so powerful that it seemed to catch the world in its grasp. Blue Heaven Palm. Meng Yongchong became serious and activated his power, ready to face the elder. Disciple Lin Fan needs to see the Grand Master. Grand Master, the disciple has very important things to report. ... Lin Fan shouted as loud as he could, but his shouting never got a response. It was like a stone thrown into an ocean. Lin Fan was getting more and more nervous. Senior brother Meng's level was 2 levels behind the elders. There was no way he could win. If Grand Master did not show up, both of them would be caught. But when Lin Fan looked over, he couldn't help but be shocked. Meng Yongchong actually had a huge advantage over Elder Qingfeng. This is impossible. There was no time to feel surprised. So, Lin Fan kept shouting as loud as he could. Junior brother Qingfeng, what is wrong? At this time, another person came over. Senior brother, come arrest these two. These two bastards are shouting in front of the palace. Elder Qingfeng shouted with joy. He had not thought Meng Yongchong could suppress him. He was stronger than him, but he was suppressed now, which is unacceptable. Lin Fan looked at the person who was coming over. He was terrified, because that person was at the lesser celestial level. The difference between levels was too great. If this man took action, there was no way Brother Meng would be able to resist. He had to do something quick, or things would get too out of hand. Grand Master, what are you meditating for? Your sect is going to be destroyed by others. Are you deaf or what? Lin Fan shouted without any burden. Meng Yongchong almost passed out when he heard what Lin Fan said. Why was junior brother Lin so disrespectful towards the Grand Master? The man who just came over heard the disrespectful statements, and attacked immediately in a tremendous rage. The space seemed to bend due to the power, making Lin Fan feel it hard to breathe or move at all. Lin Fan was shocked beyond words. Am I going to die again? The 18th Elder, please have mercy. Meng Yongchong shouted when he saw the 18th Elder attacking. If junior brother Lin took that hit, he would surely die, unlike the last time. However, he was not powerful enough to be able to save Lin Fan now. He could only wish the 18th Elder would be merciful enough not to kill Lin Fan. Disrespecting the Grand Master, the punishment is only death. The 18th Elder said cruelly. He did not intend on holding back at all. As Lin Fan was waiting for the inevitable to happen, the space suddenly froze, and the attack stopped midway, disappearing into the air without reaching Lin Fan. All of you can stop now. At this time, a voice came out of the palace. Grand Master. Lin Fan felt released. This must be the Grand Master. At this urgent time, the Grand Master saved him, and he could feel tremendous gratitude towards him. Lin Fan thought while sighing in relief, good. If I died here, it would have been bad. Everyone, come in. Meng Yongchang was also relieved. If the Grand Master had not acted just now, the consequences would have been terrible. Both the 18th Elder and Elder Qingfeng felt that the disrespectful disciple should be executed. Lin Fan looked at them without any worries. They were going to kill him, but the Grand Master stopped them. He had faith in the Grand Master, and knew he could rely on his sound judgment. Lin Fan thus followed everyone into the palace, filled with confidence. Within the palace, there was nothing but 8 pillars. At the center of the pillars was a man in common clothes, sitting peacefully in a meditative stance. Level 3 Greater Celestial. When Lin Fan saw him, he was really shocked because he was the first Greater Celestial level person he had ever met. And this man was also a level 3 Greater Celestial. However, Lin Fan was not happy at all. He was even more worried. The Grand Master was a level 3 Greater Celestial, but the Yan Emperor still dared to work with other sects to attack Saint Devil sect. This meant that all other Grand Masters must have power as strong as his Grand Master. Grand Master. So you are the one who thinks I am deaf? The Grand Master sat there and asked without any emotions. Lin Fan got nervous as he heard the question. The Grand Master was bearing grudges. This was getting different from what he had thought while entering the place. November LBJNN. I did not really mean that, Grand Master. Lin Fan could not act relentlessly. If he angered the Grand Master, he could wipe him out without even moving his finger. A man should be able to step forward and retreat. The Grand Master looked at Lin Fan and asked, what is so important that you two have to risk your lives to see me? Meng Yongchang looked at Lin Fan and nodded. He knew only Lin Fan could explain everything thoroughly. Grand Master, I overheard the Yan Emperor in the Great Yan Dynasty that he is going to work with other sects to attack our sect. After Lin Fan finished speaking, both the 18th Elder and Elder Qingfeng exclaimed in shock, impossible. The Grand Master raised his head as his eyes lit up. You are just an outer sect disciple. How dare you say this? Why is the Yan Emperor working with other sects to attack us? We have good relationships with the other sects. Elder Qingfeng Elder shouted. Grand Master, Elder, what I said is the truth. The Yan Emperor appears to be a paracelestial, but he is actually a level 7 lesser celestial. Other sects agreed to attack us because the Grand Master acquired some sort of god blood. Lin Fan did not keep any secrets. He knew if he did not divulge everything he knew, no one would believe him. What? How did they know? Both elders were surprised. The god blood was a huge secret of the sect. Yet, other people knew about it. No, you are lying. You say the Yan Emperor is level 7 lesser celestial. So how did you hear their conversation? Elder Qingfeng could just not buy his story. At this time, Grand Master looked at Lin Fan with curiosity. It seemed that he too wanted to know the truth. I got a special martial skill before. If one practices it to a high level, I will become invisible, and there will be no traces of me. When I got to the Great Yan Dynasty, I had nothing to do, so I became a teacher at the Sky Heaven School. One day, the Yan Emperor and his wife came to visit the school, where I heard their conversation while I was invisible. Lin Fan decided to come clean. He also went into stealth mode to prove his statement. What a skill! Everyone in the hall was amazed by the martial skill. Even the Grand Master was moved. When the disciple disappears, it is true that no traces can be found. This is an incredible martial skill. Chapter 80. The Chaos Begins. Chapter 80. The Chaos Begins. Senior brother, do you think the Grand Master believes me? Lin Fan looked at his senior brother after he was sent away by the Grand Master. Meng Yongchang was very worried because of the coming crisis, and could not calm down at all. He did. Meng Yongchang finally nodded. Why did the Grand Master not say anything such as, united together for the crisis? Lin Fan wondered out loud. The Grand Master did not know how to unite the force, always trying to act alone only. Unity brought more power, and that was something Lin Fan firmly believed in. Junior brother. Yes. Lin Fan looked at his senior brother confusedly. He had no idea what his senior brother would say. Actually, the Grand Master believes that the concept of, united together, is useless. This time, so many sects are going to attack us. They will send people who are above paracelestial level. Outer sect disciples, even those post-celestial inner sect disciples, are basically useless. Sending in more of them is just wasting lives. The difference between levels is way too big. Hence, unity is not all that useful. Meng Yongchang said. Saint Devil sect was stronger than most sects, when compared one-on-one. However, if many sects united together against them, the sect would surely be ruined. How? Lin Fan had stayed in this world for a long time, but he still did not fully understand it. A paracelestial man could defeat hundreds, and even thousands post-celestial men. This was the change brought by major levels. Increasing quantity was literally of no use. When Lin Fan was at the post-celestial level, he tried to kill Mo Yi, who was fainted. But Lin Fan could not break his body at all. That was the difference between levels. If one truly wanted to fix it, one would have to use a Zon-level weapon. Later, the Grand Master will inform the whole sect. Meng Yongchang sighed. Senior brother, this is not right. If there are spies in the sect, informing the whole sect will be heard by the Yan Emperor. Lin Fan said. Meng Yongchang shook his head, it does not matter if they know or not. They know the Grand Master will not leave the Saint Devil sect. Senior brother, there is still a future. Why does the Grand Master not lead the whole sect to hide? He can wait until we are powerful enough. Lin Fan persisted with his questions. If you cannot fight, then hide. If you can fight, then fight. Why not change the mindset? At this time, Meng Yongchang became serious. Junior brother, the honor of the great sect cannot be thrown away. Remember, this world is a food chain. Now, you go find junior brother Ni and prepare to leave. Senior brother, what about you? Lin Fan saw Meng Yongchang's worried face and started to worry. I am an inner sect disciple. I was adopted by the sect when I was 2. If the sect is to disappear, I will die defending it. If the sect survives, I will be living to see it. Meng Yongchang said with a determined voice while looking forward, and walking away. Senior brother, Lin Fan looked at Meng Yongchang's back as he left. He did not know what to say. Suddenly, Lin Fan found himself hard to breathe because of the environment and the circumstances. Just like what senior brother Meng said, the Grand Master ordered all disciples who were below pre-celestial level to leave the sect. After hearing the news, all disciples were obviously shocked. They felt that the sect was going to abandon them. However, when they heard about the incoming attack, they became silent. Some disciples who were under pre-celestial level went back to their dorms and started packing silently. But there were others who refused to leave and wished to defend the sect. Senior brother Ni, senior brother Yin, what are you going to do? Lin Fan asked. Yin Mochen shook his head, where can I go after leaving? I have considered Saint Devil sect as my home. I will stay and fight until my life ends. Senior brother Meng does not leave. I will not leave either. Senior brother Meng took care of me since I joined the sect. I will stay next to him and fight until the end. Ni Mingyang resonated the feeling with a heavy voice. Junior brother Lin, you should go. It is a great achievement that you brought back the news. There is no need to die here. Ni Mingyang tried convincing Lin Fan. Lin Fan hesitated for a while, should he go or stay? After all, everyone only had one life. Was he afraid of death? Of course he was. However, sometimes things were different. Senior brother, you guys are not leaving. I will not leave either. Lin Fan finally spoke firmly. Junior brother, please leave. We do not want to leave because of the memories. You just joined the sect not long ago. Even if you leave, we will not say anything, because we really wish you to live on. Ni Mingyang says. If other sects attacked the Saint Devil sect for real, everyone who stayed would not live for sure. There was no hope at all. No need to speak. You can live only once. Death can come upon you earlier or later in your life. We do not need to be so pessimistic. What if the Grand Master can change the situation? Lin Fan says. Lin Fan was an emotional man. He understood the reason behind Grand Master's order of retreat. The Grand Master wanted to give them a reason to escape. When the sect was in trouble, those disciples ran away. That was something which sounded horrible and disloyal. So, the order was to create an excuse for them to leave. Junior brother, Ni Mingyang and Yin Mochi looked at Lin Fan with eyes filled with appreciation and care. They tapped his shoulders without a word. Qingxin building, junior sister Mu, you should leave with others. Meng Yongchang looked at Mu Chenu gently. No-vel-b in .c ohm. The sect was facing a crisis. He could not keep her near him, because he could not even protect himself. He had to ask her to leave in order to live. Senior brother, you really believe him? Those are just rumors. Senior brother, I will share some views with you. Maybe you can change your mind. Mu Chenu said in a voice filled with some coldness while hating Lin Fan in her heart. Junior sister, do not do this. You should leave now. If I am still alive, I will go and find you. Meng Yongchong and Mu Chenu met a long time ago. First, he saw her in the outer sect, and started to pay attention to her. Later, Meng Yongchong quit the inner sect and joined the outer sect. He thought he would need to look for the junior sister. However, one day, she appeared behind him herself and asked him a question. That was a beginning, and today might be the end. Senior brother, I will not go if you do not go. Mu Chenu shook her head resolutely. Get out of my face. This time, Meng Yongchong got angry and shouted at her. Mu Chenu was shocked and frightened because of his sudden change. Senior brother, what did you say? Mu Chenu could not believe what she heard and looked at Meng Yongchong, looking for some signs to contradict the words. I said, get out of my face.